kind of like music playing in the background. No, I just hit record. We're gonna get right into it, you know.
straight raw, straight into it.
Just leave it in.
No introductions.
That's how it is.
None of that.
Maybe over time we can finesse it and start getting these things a little more ironed out. But man, there seems to be an issue of information in the FGC. Like really talking about something with I hate to say like experience or somebody who's qualified, because I think it should be important to have the discussion at any levels. But my intention with this experiment, this auto tier list, this kind of exercise, is to get down to somebody who has like a good source of information and see what they think about it. And it's really on the it's based on the idea of tier list, how they're constructed off of matchups. So you have a character and how they deal with each other character, and then you stack them up, and then you have a tier list. But it seems like the convenient way to construct a tier list these days is to sort of plot out how you feel, like maybe you're observing matchups, tournament matchups, that kind of thing. But I really want to get down to that and just overall have a good conversation with people who have have their boots on the ground, that kind of thing. And today, I am very honored to have a good friend of mine and a legendary defensive player, Guile in Street Fighter 4, the master of down back. If you have him in the corner, it's almost like a disadvantage, if you ask me. Also an innovator of the Marvel 3 defensive style, the Morrigan projectiles, the even Beautiful Joe, the boomerangs, that kind of thing. My first guest is none other than Kevin Landon, aka Di3mini0n. How are you doing, my friend? Was that a little bit much?
No. No, it's just a little funny that you introduced me like that. But nonetheless, I am honored to be your first guest on this stream talking about matchups. You know, like, I'm actually never a tier list making type of person, but this is on the books. This is on the record.
Oh yeah.
So you know, like, you can hear my voice actually when I'm making the tier list right in front of you guys. So. You know, this is actually a special occasion. This is not something I do on the regular. So,
yeah, me neither. I feel you on that. Like tier lists, I get it. I understand why people like them, and like the conversation can be fruitful, productive, or whatnot. But I get the impression, and maybe I'm being a little bit ignorant about this, but I get the impression that people want tier lists to either know what character to choose or to justify the reason why they're losing. Like, I'm playing Alex, so see, low tier Alex. Everyone says it. So, you know, we're good to go here. And that's not anything that's conducive to learning, in my opinion. So that's why I really want to have a good discussion about it instead of just talking about it.
We can have a nice, decent discussion. You know, a structure, because I'm all about structure. You know how I do.
Oh yeah.
All about structure. We can have that. We can definitely have that.
And we absolutely will. But first, before we get into that, I want to like get to know you a little bit better. Allow the people who are maybe not initiated, who don't know you, to know a little bit about you. And the first question I would like to ask is a question that is very near and dear to my corazón. My chat knows that I like pizza, but I would like to know what kind of pizza you're down with. Like, what's your favorite kind of pizza? And if you're not down with pizza, you know, what's like the first food that comes to mind?
Listen, so a few months ago, I put a tweet out there. I got some pizza around UOP headquarters. If you guys do not know, that is the YAP headquarters, is where sometimes we practice and play. We play Marvel 2, we play Dragon Ball FighterZ, we play Street Fighter 5. Anyway, they have one of the best pizza spots in the area. And I don't know if that goes a long way saying, but in New York, we got some pretty good pizza spots. And to be honest, I am a straight pepperoni type of guy. Like that a good, nice pepperoni slice. And it's not just any pizza. Like, I don't know. Like, we get quite a few visitors, you know, coming from other places in the U.S. and from out the country, and their first impression of New York pizza, sometimes there's like a chain we started getting in like mid 2000s, and it's called Two Bros. And I would never, ever recommend that slice or those slices of cheap ass New York pizza to anybody.
Shots fired on the pizza.
Two Bros is ass.
Oh,
Two
boy.
Bros is low quality,
Low
and it is not
tier.
a proper representation of New York pizza. It's just not. So don't get New Bros. You guys hear me? Do not get New Bros. If you have to get pizza, look it up on Yelp. Do some research. Go to your mom and pop's pizza shop. It's better than Two Bros. It might be more expensive, but the quality is what matters. You know what? Anyways, pepperoni, a good pepperoni slice. And you know, New York water is pretty good.
There's
and
something
that's
about it. There's something about it. I don't know what it is. I had the pleasure of going to New York, NLBC. I went there when I was staying in Virginia. A buddy of mine, K1, we went with New York native, or at least he lives there now. Jason goes by Kitsune King, and he took us to this artichoke pizza place. I'm like, artichoke pizza.
Wow.
I'm like, all right, I give it a shot. It ruined every other pizza I've ever had in my life. New York pizza changes the whole game. It's almost like
artichoke is that. But you know, it's pricey, but it's good though.
I don't know how they pulled it off, but it's ridiculous. Okay, about the pizza. Is there anything you do with the pizza? Do you fold it? I'm kind of curious myself. This is not even an ounce. Do you like just go? I mean, how do you?
I eat it any old way. I eat it like a regular slice. I fold it sometimes. I really cut it up. I don't really eat it with a knife and a fork.
Do you
like
charge
some
for
men
2
do,
seconds
you know,
and then up and kick, and then you have to?
And then the best pizza is the one with the crispy crust.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking
gosh.
about? The one with the crispy crust. Like it's heaven. It's basically heaven.
Maybe I should. I don't know if I'm these kinds of questions for introductions, man. I don't know if I can. I might have to amend this document because this is going off into different areas.
As a matter of fact, I'm later on. I'm probably gonna go to UOP headquarters and get a slice, and I'm gonna just tweet it out. And it's gonna be like a little 20-second tutorial of me just finessing the pizza, basically.
Jeez.
So I'm probably gonna do that a little bit later. But yeah,
All
pepperoni
right.
slice.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, a nice pepperoni slice is what gets to me. That's what gets to me.
Man, this is good. That's a really good question. So the next thing I want to ask is about music. Fighting games, they tend to have really good music, especially back in the day. A lot of nostalgia, a lot of memory. So I want to know the first thing that comes to mind. Like, what piece of music from fighting games do you think about?
From fighting games, okay. Yeah. That's actually a tough one. Well, you know what they say. They say the first memories are always the ones that stick to you the most.
For sure.
And I would have to say, as far as fighting game musics, I would have to say the first ones are like Street Fighter 2.
Oh yeah.
That comes to mind.
Wow.
Street Fighter 2. It's just like basically. All right. So I was 4 years old when that game came out, and that's like they say 4 years old is when you start to know like your place in the world, and
really?
Like you start to really notice your surroundings and everything around you. Like 3 years old, you're like, you live in life, but you're still in the stroller kind of. You're still in the stroller. But like 4 years old, you start walking around. You start seeing like who's around you. You start talking to more people.
Passing by the line at the 7-Eleven with the Street Fighter, like people lining up to play. Like, what's going on? I hear something.
Oh, you had 7-Eleven when you was 4 years old. Where you was at?
That's usually where people reference it. For me, it was like Food Line, gas stations, that kind of thing.
Got you. But going to like pre-K, going to like school, just passing, laundromats and what the like. Street Fighter 2 is basically my first. I would have to say like Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat. Those are like the first fighting game musics that come to mind because they were the first. They're like. They might not be the best, but they were definitely the first, and they're the most memorable for me. So
yeah. I'm not exactly from that era. Like I was pretty much the same age, but I feel like I could be wrong about this. But at that time, the music in video games, it had some memorable moments. But I feel like the music in Street Fighter V really described a character through the music. Like Ken's theme made you feel like somebody who was a little bit aggressive. They had like kind of a Ryu's theme made you feel like this is a well-structured individual, that kind of thing. So I feel you. Like maybe they were the pioneer of that kind of thing. I could be wrong about that, but I definitely got that impression.
Yeah. The music is definitely classics at this point, and I think in Street Fighter 2 they definitely tried to portray the character through the music too. So
yeah, sick.
That could definitely be one of the reasons why it's the most memorable, or like the ones that come up in my head the first.
Next thing I want to ask you is where the name Di3mini0n comes from. Really simple.
right.
Maybe not.
So it's just funny. I've told the story countless times because people say it's a cool name. Like they come up to me like, yeah, Di3mini0n, like it's a cool name. Where'd you get it from? So basically, this is what happened. I think it was like maybe 2002. I was playing Phantasy Star, the remake version for GameCube.
Oh, okay.
And I was just playing the game. I was running through it. I got to the last stage, and I forgot there was like a enemy. I forgot the name of the enemy. It was like Minion or something like that, or something like that. It's like in the last stage, the what do they call it? Like not the caves, the depths. I forgot the last stage of Phantasy Star Online. It was a long time ago. But basically, the name just popped up. And the funny part about it is, I was part of a group at the time called Empire Arcadia. It was long time ago, and I had to actually think of a name at the time. So, you know, everybody had a tag, and I didn't have a tag. I was like 15, 16. I didn't have a tag, and I was trying to think of a name at the time. And lo and behold, I was at the last stage of Phantasy Star Online, about to beat the game, and it just popped up while I was playing. So that's definitely the story of how Di3mini0n came to be.
You were like Di3mini0n. Like the way you can say it can sound so like I don't know, like you can trust this name. It's like something like you can aggressive kind of like Di3mini0n, you know? Like I'm down with it.
And then you know it's two words at the same time. It's Di and Minion. It sounds cool. You just put it together, Di3mini0n.
I like it.
Di3mini0n. That's me.
Speaking of like those older games, the EMP experience. How long have you been within like the competitive community for fighting games, or how long have you just been like playing fighting games in general?
Well, my first fighting game was Street Fighter 2 for Super Nintendo. I played a little bit in the arcade before it released on Super Nintendo, but the first one competitively, just mashing on buttons, was Super Nintendo Street Fighter 2, and then I played all types of fighting games coming up. I started discovering like SNK games, and when you go to the laundromat, basically the setup was like you had a racing game, you had an action game, then you had a fighting game, and then you always had a Neo Geo arcade machine where you press the button and you get to choose the games.
Oh, are you referring to Chinatown Fair?
I'm sorry?
Are you referring to Chinatown Fair?
No, just like your run-of-the-mill like laundromat or pizza shop,
really?
Or like
everywhere
or whatever. Yeah, like literally every corner had like 3 or 4 arcades in it, and all of them at least had a SNK machine on it. Most, if not all, had an SNK machine where you can press a button and choose the games. So that's where I discovered like King of Fighters 94, Art of Fighting, stuff of that nature, like, you know, like SNK games. And then like I remember there were a lot of, actually Street Fighter 2 was like the pioneer fighting games. There was another fighting game called Fighter's History, and the characters were kind of like Street Fighter 2 characters, like enhanced Street Fighter 2 characters. You had a character called Mizoguchi. He had a white headband. You know what I'm talking about at this point. And we used to call it the bootleg Street Fighter because he was basically Ryu, but in a different game. And then you had a character called Young Mi. It sounds like Chun-Li. You had like lightning kicks and all these kick type of moves. But the game was fire though. The game, I'm not gonna lie, the game was fire. The game was fire.
Man, I don't even recall that. I know like the Art of Fighting, Fatal Furies, that kind of thing, but Fighter's History. I remember talking to Crack Fiend and Damon about a game called Martial Masters. Was it last final round or the final round before that? Martial Masters.
I do not know what that game is.
There's so many fighting games out there. You know, like Street Fighter really, I think, set the precedent. What is the standard for fighting games, and that's really cool, man.
Definitely. And
so like, you've been around since the beginning, basically.
Yeah. When you see like Street Fighter 2 came out with like the motions of how to do moves, and then other fighting games came out with the same motions. It's definitely Street Fighter was a pioneer of the way fighting games came to be. I think maybe like Mortal Kombat was a little bit different. You know, you do like forward punch to do a fireball, or down up kick to do another move. But definitely other fighting game companies took that spark from Capcom with Street Fighter 2.
All right, we got 2 more questions to get through before we talk. Well, really 3, and then we'll get right into the segment where we just talk straight about Ed and all the things that you have from your perspective. So, next question is
the best part.
what is your most memorable tournament experience? Do you have one that comes? I'm sure there's many of them, but what comes to mind? And it's not even like if you had to choose one. It's just choose choose any.
All right. So I have so many. So I'll just choose one because when someone asks me this question, I just choose one.
Mm-hmm.
And the one I haven't chose yet, I would say it's like damn. I would just throw out the 25th anniversary in 2012 for Street Fighter 4. I finally beat Gamerbeat in tournament. It was my second. It was like my second or third time losing to him at that point, and I had to just beat him. And so I went to the lab, countless hours on end, trying to figure out how to deal with the matchup Guile versus A.D.O.N. because I had a lot of talks with a lot of different top players at the time, and they used to always say, yeah, Guile beats A.D.O.N. All you have to do is press standing fierce. It beats all the Jaguar kicks, yada yada yada. But it's not just any A.D.O.N. It's Gamerbeat, So I had to actually go in the lab and figure it out because standing fierce clearly wasn't working. Every time I played him, it just wasn't working. So I had to go in the lab, figure out the spacing, how to whiff punish, how to counter his air attacks because he can do the Tiger Knee Jaguar kick was really annoying for Guile. So I finally beat him in tournament, and then I raised my hand. I was dressed in a little classic red sweater, had a tie, and I came to do work. That
was so sick.
I just had to let the people know I came to do work. I came to business, but I lost a Daigo right after that. So
I mean, you gotta one step at a time, I suppose.
Yeah. And he's still an obstacle I'm trying to overcome in tournament. I think I'm getting there too. So.
That feeling, that storyline can divert into so many different conversations that I want to talk about. All right. But there was a time in Street Fighter 4, I remember that you would almost refuse to do flash kicks on wake up. And then there was a time where you do it without, almost like caution to the wind, almost out of character, you would start doing that. And that's what that story reminded me of. Maybe you made a change in your gameplay and it made the difference. And yeah, I mean, there was a time when you could have a signature style of gameplay. I won't go into it. The next question is, what's your favorite era of fighting games? I grew up in Third Strike, and I have some good memories there. And then the Street Fighter 4 and Street Fighter Cross Tekken, that kind of thing for me. And then now we have Street Fighter 5 esports. Is there a certain time frame that you recall fondly, or is there something you want to just talk about?
Well, I would probably have to say my favorite era is Street Fighter Alpha 2, Street Fighter Alpha 3.
Really?
King of Fighters 96, 7, 8, 9, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
The Justin Wong era.
That era is probably my favorite. It might not be the best era. I'm subjectively speaking, but it might not be the best era, but it's my favorite era because there were a lot of games on the rise. There were a lot of different games you can play. It was still an arcade era, but there were just a lot of games that were different. Darkstalkers, Rival Schools, a lot of different SNK fighting games came up. There was just a lot of diversity in games, and it was a good time to play fighting games.
Oh yeah.
In that era, you still had to spend money to play.
Could you even play at your house? Was there even a console version of those games that you described? Did you have to go to the arcades to play?
At that time, you had to either have a Sega Saturn with the memory pack in the back, the big brain in the back, to play the arcade perfect version of the game. So they had Children of the Atom, they had Marvel vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, but you had to have a Sega Saturn with the memory pack. That was the only way you could play at home, and they still didn't have the same arcade sticks. In the arcade, we always played. They always came with the 360-degree perfect joysticks. This is before obviously before the Japanese sticks came out with the square gate. In Japan, they were always playing on the square gate. But in America, we have the Korean bat top joystick.
Yeah,
I guess you could call it Korean style.
Circle. It looks like a baseball bat.
Exactly.
Like one of those door stopper things. If you tilt it to the side and let go of it, it was
Yeah, that. Basically look like a hot dog, kind of like a jacked up hot dog. So that was probably my favorite era. And then also a little bit coming up after that, we had Marvel vs. Capcom 2, CVS 2, and Third Strike, age, and those games were being played for a little while before, obviously, Street Fighter 4 came out. But I would have to say, like, that the era before Street Fighter 4 was probably my favorite.
Yeah.
In terms of fighting games overall.
Yeah, I feel like that era for me personally is where I forged the friendships that I've kept to this day.
I mean, it was about that point in time in our lives anyway. You know, we're like teens and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, like, I guess this is how life is. You know, we're still not that we're not growing as people still to this day.
Of course.
I'm 32. You're in your 32 at this point. But like, it's just crazy how a lot of people I've made friends with from that time period are still close to me to this day. You know, like, I was 15, 16, and I still talk to the same people I do to this day. Yeah. And I guess that's just how life is, right? Like,
yeah.
I've said
this on stream a few times about my now step uncle. There's a guy who really taught me how to apply different theories and ideas in fighting games, like almost inadvertently. But yeah, I'm not related to him. My wife is his wife's niece, so I kind of married into it. But yeah, last question before we get into this tier list, auto tier list. Why do you play Ed? Season 2 character. Why do you play a character that doesn't combo Psycho Upper sometimes?
All right, so I'm gonna tell you guys the story straight up. I'll tell you guys a story straight up. So basically, we're talking season 2, right? So I'm gonna be straight honest. I'll be straight honest. I want you to get the raw dimension. This is the raw dimension right now.
Exclusive.
I was not feeling Street Fighter 5 in season 1 and season 2. I played the game, but I was not feeling the game to a point where I actually enjoy playing when I play.
That's like okay.
That's right. So I'll just get that out the way. I did not like season 1. I did not like season 2. I think the games were horrible. They were definitely alpha versions of Street Fighter 5. Street Fighter 5 season 3 is definitely the first competent version of the game.
Fair enough.
To me.
Fair enough.
But all right. So before I continue, do you want to ask a question or you want me to continue?
I'm all ears, brother.
All right. So, you know, I'm playing F.A.N.G. You know, I had a little fun with him. I play Guile. You know, I play Guile in Street Fighter 4. So, but the thing about Guile in this game is that I feel like the thing that kind of turns me off about Guile in this game is not the reason why I don't play him, but it's something about him. Like, I felt like people, they still consider him a charge character, but he doesn't feel like a charge character to me in this game. He feels like to be a charge character player in other games, you had to be a master of charge, or you had to actually learn how to do it. In this game, you don't have to learn how to do it. It's just like you kind of just do back a little bit and then press forward and do a boom, and then it's the same for flash kick. Like you don't actually have to learn how to have like a charge skill. I feel like all the charge skills I learned in the old games, they just don't apply anymore.
Oh no, okay. I think I see. So what made Guile special in the other games, it doesn't feel like as accomplished. You don't feel as accomplished when you do it in this game.
Yeah, it feels like a super, super, super duper scrubby version of what Guile could ever be. That's what it feels like to me in this game. He does not feel like a charge character. I don't know if it's gotten to the point where I've mastered charge to the point where he just doesn't feel like a charge character, or if he doesn't.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there too. It's like you've not to like say whatever, but you've been there and done that. So and now when you get something it's almost like it's too easy for you. You don't want to.
It's like, literally too. It's too easy. Like I'm not saying winning against people is too easy. I'm just saying playing the character for me is too easy.
And the sense of reward that you get from it. I feel you, man.
So this is like around season 2, before season 2 came out, season 2.5, the update is coming out. You know, they introduced Cammy and that new air throw, that horrendous air throw. They finally did some physics.
Yep.
And then with that came Ed, right? So Ed came out, he was the newest character coming out, and a month actually passed. I was still playing Guile and F.A.N.G. And so I'm looking like on the CFN leaderboards, and I'm like, yo, there is literally no Ed players. Like, why? Why does no one play him? I don't think they thought that he was bad. I just think people just didn't want to play a character with simple inputs.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, he's a weird character too. He's a bit of a hybrid. I felt early on that he was a bit of a defensive character with some hit and run tactics, some projectiles, some methods of manipulating the side with the screen with his side switch, that kind of thing. So it was a hard character to digest, and maybe not somebody's cup of tea in the first place, even if they did know what he was about.
That's true. That's true. And then you did have your your usual hit and run style players like Infiltration and Justin trying him out because he had a really good backdash. I don't know if it was intended. Obviously, it wasn't because they took it out. but it was really good. I'm not gonna lie, it was really good. And at the time, it was one of the ways you could play him. Like run away, throw the spark, fake them, make them jump, anti-air, blah blah. But I played him because no one literally played him. That's the reason why. So I played him just to have a new experience with a character. And while I'm playing him, I'm like, there's a lot of flaws that pop up, like combos don't connect. And at this point in time in Street Fighter, counter hit pushback still existed. So someone could walk up to you and press a button, and you could interrupt them with a crouching jab, and then you do crouching strong, and then you go for like an uppercut or a flicker, and it just doesn't connect.
I never put that together, because Ed already has the problem. Counter hit pushback aside, back when Ed was first released. Just finding ways to connect consistently psycho upper, and then when you combine that with counter hit pushback, it was probably a nightmare.
Exactly. So
you went from this. Sorry to interrupt, but you went from a character it was like, this charging thing is too easy now. Now I want to give myself a different. What's it called? Not intermittent, but cascading failure, right? I want this counter hit pushback problem. I want this comboing problem. It's a new character. I'll give it a fair shot.
Yeah, but aside that, he's actually really fun to play. He's fun. I like his tool set.
Yeah, that's really important.
I still like his tool set to this day. I've grown with how the character functions, and I actually start to realize a lot about myself as a player, going from a charge character to someone that can actually play offensive, and someone that has like such a fast dash, a far range dash, some pretty good ground buttons. There's some things they can work on, but I think for the most part, he's a pretty solid character. There's nothing really overly cheap about him. And the one thing I do notice, a lot of the reason, there's quite a bit of a lot of Ed players out there. We actually have a few Discords, but the one thing that you do have to have in order to succeed with Ed is good fundamentals, because he's not a burst damage type of character. From mid range, he can't just throw buttons out and convert. You actually have to pick and choose when you want to press buttons, where you want to stand to press buttons, if you want to backdash and evade and then dash in. All of his damage really comes from when you get up close and frame trapping. He's decent at that. He's not the best at that. He's decent at that, but he's not a burst damage type of character. So that's probably the reason why a lot of people don't either succeed with him. I mean, he's not like Urien, where he can just like EX tackle half screen away and then get in, or like EX knees and then
bypass the neutral. I don't have to address anything that's in front of me. Let's just see what happens when I do.
Exactly. He's not that type of character. So you have to actually play matchups out, and that's something that a lot of people have trouble with in Street Fighter 5 in general.
As well,
just trying to play out matchups.
I would add that the V trigger mechanic is not something that is usually V trigger 1 or 2. It's hard to get like a comeback type of factor with it. Like, it requires setups, it requires like thinking about your position on the screen and how you're like benefiting from it, and then it's not like, say, the Aegis reflector or that kind of V trigger mechanic. It takes work, is what I'm getting at.
Right. Yeah. You have to lab the setups too. Even V trigger 2, the snatcher, the one that you don't really have to lab it. You can kind of just pick it, but the way I see people use it, they kind of just like waste it away on the snatch, and you have to really like, all right, so you activate it and he doesn't do anything. So that's actually good because you can combo into it, but you don't have to combo into it. Like, you can just activate it, or you can do another combo and then start to use it like on the opponent's wake up, or wait so you get an opportunity and so you get a hit and then convert into it. You don't just like waste it away. You don't just use it and waste it away and just try to get in. You kind of just gotta play the matchup and then use it to convert into big damage.
Right. The empty activation is something that you don't know how good it is until, like, if you have a character who doesn't have the empty activation, and then they give you a new V trigger that gives you that empty activation, you can see other ways that you can apply and generate new offenses, explore new knockdowns, or get different combo paths that you normally wouldn't have. So yeah, the V trigger too is interesting.
Yeah, I can definitely empathize with that too, because as V trigger 1, he just does the ball on activation, so he didn't have anything before where you can just activate and then see what the opponent's doing and then counteract. You couldn't do that before. So it definitely brings a new type of style and flavor to the character, which is most welcome.
Absolutely. All right. The moment everyone's been waiting for, right? Let's talk about this daggone tier list.
Yes.
Let's try to get let's get the foundation going. So I got a little spreadsheet here. We're gonna do numbers 1 through 10, but really, it goes like to 3 to 7 mostly. So 5 is the even matchup. 5.5, 4.5 is perfectly fine. 5.5 meaning that Ed would win this matchup. 4.5 or 4 and below that would mean that he's losing that matchup. And then we tally it up at the end. And then, if I actually spend 30, 40 hours talking to people, maybe we'll have some good data and we can stack up all these numbers. Yeah. This is the first.
So the proper way. The proper way, right? Not just you say and he say, she say.
Yeah, but, I still see that side of it. Like, who's going to spend this much time really trying to make this thing happen, But I'll do it. Because I'm really interested in the discussion, like we talked about before. This is really the whole point of this exercise, is to get some ideas out there, and hopefully, as I like to say, we learn something. Cool. So, first up to bat, we got Ryu. How do you feel like Ed does against the old bread and butter, straight arrow karate master himself?
All right, so I actually have not too much trouble with Ryu, but it's a difficult matchup. His standard fireball just gives Ed a little bit of trouble, because it's his fireball combined with his dash or with his jump, because this game obviously still has input lag, so you can't really gauge whether like in order to counter the fireball you have to do spark, or you have to make a read and do spark and then throw your own, but his movement is so sporadic. You don't know if he's going to dash in after the fireball. You don't know if his first movement is going to be a dash. Like, you kind of have to make the first move and stop him from doing whatever you think he wants to do. You definitely can't jump because anti-airs are too free. So it's free damage. You have to play the ground really slow and just try to get a read on what the Ryu player wants to do without you trying to do too much. So you basically have to just stop him from keeping his comfort zone in the mid-range and throwing the fireball, and you have to get in to win. So you have to get in, you have to apply frame traps, but the neutral is basically pretty much countering fireballs, stopping from dashing in, stopping from jumping in. You can play passive at first, and then turn it on with a quick random dash in. Obviously, you definitely can't jump though. That's just something you just can't do. I don't know how to ingrain in the people is you just cannot jump in on. You can probably jump in once and just test their anti-airs, but against a good player with good DPs, that's just something you just don't do.
Man. So
that's just food for thought. That's not really a Ryu in general thing. It's just anyone with a good DP, anyone that knows how to DP. But in terms of Ryu, this is basically countering his fireball, outpoking him, outfooting him. Ed does have some good ground normals and some better ones. Ryu has some good ones too. Maybe not his crouching medium kick, but his standing roundhouse is really, really good against Ed.
Really?
Because Ed's normals are they're either mid or they're kind of straightforward, and Ryu's standing roundhouse is a crush counter, so it's a heavy button. So if you're pressing a medium and he does that, he gets a crush counter.
So it kind of forces you into doing crouching medium punch and crouching medium kick, so you're at that crouching state.
Exactly.
So where would you put, if you had to put a number on this, where would you put it?
If I had to put a number on it, without really getting too much into it, I would have to say 5.5.
Okay.
5.5. I would give it a 5.5.
What V trigger?
I might be a little generous, but I have to give it a 5.5.
What V trigger would you recommend, or what V trigger do you use to make that kind of assessment?
I think you can use either one, but to me, the safer one would be V trigger 1, because you might get 2 of them in a round. And V-Trigger 1, you just get to control the neutral. You know, like you can just back up, activate it, dash up behind it. You can do unsafe things that's not normally safe, but since the ball is coming behind you, he can't really do much. It just controls the pace of the match a lot better. I would say, like with V-Trigger 2, Ryu has a parry. So if you do it and he sees it and he just has V skill, and you're done. Like he gets a full combo. He can parry and he just does whatever he wants in the world.
Really? So if you throw the V-Trigger 2 at him and he parries it, do you get dragged into it, or is there? I'm not sure how this interacts.
He parries it and then he can dash up and do whatever.
Oh, 16 frame dash. You're that negative. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to keep this so we can complete it in a reasonable amount of time. So I want to move on to the next.
I'll shorten it up a little bit.
It's all good, man. Chun-Li, we got up next.
Chun-Li, this is a tricky one. So I would say first off, starting V-Trigger 2 is definitely the best V-Trigger. V-Trigger 1,
okay.
She just has so many ways to get past V-Trigger 1, the fireball. So V-Trigger 2, you get it a little bit late, but you get guaranteed pressure from it. So in terms of matchup, without getting too much into it, it's hard to play footsies because she has better buttons, she has good walk speed. So you have to throw the fireball out a lot. The spark, you have to make her think that you're going to throw it out and just do the one spark and make her jump in an anti-air. You have to dash in randomly and get your pressure started.
Yeah, I feel like that's underrated in a lot of matchups, is being able to implement the dash so you can actually generate some offense. And
he's actually really, really good at that. He has a 16 frame dash and it's far range too.
Yeah, 15 is the fastest it gets in for this game. 15 is the fastest dash in the game, so 16 is just 1 frame below. That's really good. And depending on the distance that it covers and the way the animation looks and the mid-range presence that you have, it can make your dash be like, it's almost like you can slip it in there when you have like almost like an assist behind it with your normals.
Exactly. Also, with this matchup, V skill, you have to. It's kind of risky to use, but you have to kind of implement the non-charge V skill and the charge V skill, because since she likes to throw a fireball sometimes, the non-charge V skill I noticed, and I actually started noting this recently. It hasn't been something that's come to mind or something I've even implemented in my gameplay, but the non-charge V skill is good for against fireball characters because sometimes, like, the only way to stop him from doing it, to stop Ed from doing the V skill, is moving out the way. So you have to actually jump, neutral jump, forward jump, back jump, or whatever. And since you have a charge V skill and a non-charge V skill, the non-charge V skill catches your jump frames.
Okay. So it forces you to decide. You gotta choose preemptively if you're gonna jump over it or avoid it through the neutral.
Exactly, the non-charge V skill, he pulls himself in, but he's -2. But the fact of the matter is he's in. So you know, you can mix that with his spark. You can mix that with his charge fierce punch. They're all charge moves, so you have to be quick on which one you think he's gonna do, or you have to visually be quick on which one he's doing in order to counteract it. So you have to use like those charge variations of his moves to manipulate the matchup and make the opponent want to do stuff.
That seems to be the name of the game, man.
Yeah, that's actually the name of his game plan in general. Maybe not in most matchups and a lot of different matchups, but in this matchup, you have to do that because you just don't win on the ground.
That's good. That's good stuff. So yeah. What number would you put for Chun-Li?
I would put a 5.5 for Chun-Li.
Yeah?
5.5.
Okay, definitely. Okay.
Yeah.
So I saw them we're playing spades. I definitely, for sure, guaranteed, I've got 6 books. All right, he's got the Joker. All right. I hate it when people do that.
I have to give it to Chun-Li just because the ground game it's safe for her without making her want to take too many risks, and she just has, she has a V-Trigger too, so you have to worry about it. V-Trigger also, not V-Trigger 2, but V-Trigger also, so you have to worry about it at the end of the day too. And she just has a more easy time on the ground, so I have to edge it out to Chun-Li.
Yeah, a quick comment. I think Chun-Li she's bottom 27, but I think she's underrated. Bottom 27.
She's definitely underrated. She's solid mid-tier, in my opinion.
All right, we got Nash coming up next, coming in hot. So far, we got Ryu with 5, Chun-Li with 5.5, recommended V-Trigger 2, and for Nash, what do you got, my friend?
Nash. We say Nash. We've been saying Nash since season 1 when he had that dash. Nash. It's another tricky one. He has good mobility. His sonic boom variations are really good in the matchup, but you can easily counter him with a spark. His V reversal actually gives Ed a lot of trouble because he has the only V reversal that's an evasion V reversal that you cannot punish with a hit. You have to punish with a fireball, and Ed can't do that because his fireball is a 2-part fireball, it's not a 1-part fireball, so you can't autocorrect his V reversal with a standard fireball. So Nash is actually a hit and run style character in this matchup, and he does it really well. He has good mid range normals. You have to be careful what buttons you press on the ground because he can do a forward fierce into a crush counter into whatever. So you have to take this matchup slow, and you do have to throw fireballs on this matchup just so you can catch up, or you can like close the space. You can do like fireball and then throw the slow fireball and then dash behind it. If he absorbs it, you get in a little bit. You have to use your charge V skill a lot just to test them to see if they're on their P's and Q's when it comes to movement. And the fact of the matter is, in this matchup, you have to chase him because he has V trigger 1, which gets him out the way, and he has V reversal. So you don't know which one he's gonna use his V trigger for. But since he uses V reversal and he gets out anyway and he switches sides, you have to chase him. So
it's almost as if the characters are able to do the same, like similar things, like side switching, projectiles. But because Nash has maybe it's his backdash and maybe it's in combination with the slow moving fireball, it's almost like he has a slight advantage in a neutral as far as a projectile like war is concerned.
He definitely does. And
oh yeah, moonsault.
Not to mention he has that too, so you have to worry about him randomly getting in, and his plus on top of it is plus. So the neutral game is a little bit tricky for Ed, but the good thing about it is that since he's wasting his V reversal, if he does waste his V meter on V reversal, you never have to worry about his V trigger. So when you get in, you don't have to worry about the surprise element of trigger. You don't have to worry about him comboing into good damage with V trigger. So the matchup is kind of straight up until you get V trigger. When you get V trigger, you can kind of dictate the pace of the match. And I would definitely have to say V trigger 2 is the recommended V trigger for this matchup, only because it's so good for making people want to waste their V trigger meter on V reversal. So you get 3 of them. So if you, let's just say for instance, you use your first one, he does V reversal, you get in, okay, he gets away. Then you find a way to get in again, use it again. That's your second one, he uses it again, the V reversal, he gets out the way, and then you have one more to stick to him actually. Or you have one more to actually, you don't even have to use it, you can just kind of play the matchup out, and if you get a hit, you can convert that last one into good damage. So I would have to say V trigger 2 is the recommended one. V trigger 1, not so much, because moonsault, he goes high in the air, he just gets past the ball, and then it's useless. So yeah, V trigger 2 definitely the recommended one.
How would you grade this matchup?
Number?
Yeah. And also, I need to clarify with Chun-Li. You wanted Chun-Li to be slightly in favor, right?
Yes. Chun-Li is slightly in Chun-Li's favor, 5.5.
Okay, so it'll be 4.5 score for Ed. So 4.5 for Ed and 5.5 for... Okay, I got you. So what about Nash? How are we looking for that?
For Nash, I would have to say even matchup. Yep. Okay. 5.5, 5, not 5.5, 5 across the board. Straight edge.
It's so hard to even see these matches happen. Like, I mean, you've experienced them, but it's not something you see very often. Like, how many Nash players are there out there? Like, you have to, like, maybe you can play someone like Sonic Soul, like, offline and then online maybe sometimes, but is that gonna happen in tournaments? The chances are very unlikely, you know? It's hard to see those kind of things. So it's good to hear from...
unlikely. But I've actually had the liberty of playing Sonic Soul. It was at the Red Bull
sick
tournament, but I didn't play Ed. I played Guile. I was a scumbag because I didn't want to even matchup. I wanted a favorable matchup.
I feel you though.
Yeah, sorry, Sonic Soul. You know.
All right.
Had to be.
All right. Okay. All right. Moving on, we got M. Bison, the old dictator himself. What do you think about that, M. Bison versus Ed?
M. Bison. This is a tricky one. I will start off with saying I played Problem X a lot of sets at CEO.
Okay.
It was basically even across the board.
Wow.
Well, we played 3 sets. I won the first set 5-4, and then I won the second set 3-something, whatever, and he won the last set 5-4. And I'm not convinced enough to say that because I won more games that it's in Ed's favor. They don't have any Eds in Europe, so
right.
I would have to say slightly Bison's favor off the bat, and I will explain why.
Okay.
Bison's.
So you're just better. You're just that much better than Problem X, right? Call event hubs.
No. Shout out to man like Problem. Shout out to Problem X, but that's my bro. But I would have to say it's in Bison's favor, and we both agreed to it because the ground game is just in Bison's favor. Ed doesn't get a lot off of mid-range conversions, like I said. He can whiff punish, but the ground game is just too devastating, with like Psycho Axe and Ed, he has to kind of play like a risky neutral game. Bison has good tools to deal with like Fireball. He has good tools to deal with a V skill and the charge punch. All he has to do is press V skill. That's all Bison has to do. So he gets a free V skill. He gets a double Fireball. When he gets a double Fireball V skill, it's just another element of the neutral you have to worry about. You can't willy-nilly do your Fireballs because his just comes out and it's 2-hitting, and then he dashes in, and you have to worry about Bison. So it was Bison time after that. So
it's Bison time, like the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's Bison time. Yeah. So, guitar solo.
So I feel like also you can't reversal in this matchup because Bison's 3-frame. You can't wake up reversal because he blocks in time. His ground normal is actually pretty decent, like a standing medium kick. It just really comes down to having you kind of have to know the Bison player. It's not if you're an Ed player and you have a sub character that fights Bison pretty good, and you're in like a pools tournament match. I would just say pick the sub character and not Ed. You have to kind of know the player in order to be able to play the matchup at a high level, so cleanly. You have to know what the player's about. So, it's just hard when you get V reversal. It becomes a little bit easier. You can either force a Bison player to use their V reversal. That's another thing. When Bison does V reversal and he does dash in, he's at frame advantage kind of. So and you lose white life too. So that's another element of the matchup that you have to worry about, just the white life factor. Yeah, he doesn't have V trigger, but it's you get knocked down, and then you have to worry about Psycho Axe more white life, and then it's plus, and you have to worry about what he's gonna do next. And Ed is not a particularly good character. Not particularly good. He's just not a good character on knockdown. So you can't reversal. So you have to make hard reads. When he does Psycho Axe, you have to have the challenge with your 3-frame. You just have to sit there and block and be reversal.
Yeah, that's how it seems with a lot of characters against Bison. It's hard to get a beat on what he's trying to do, what kind of sequence he's going to do. How is he going to steal his turn while he has frame advantage, and take liberties. So you have to make really, really goofy decisions when he has you in block strings. And the neutral, although his walk speed is really trash, the way his normals work, the way EX Psycho, the scissor kick works, it's hard to get really understand what he wants to do.
Oh yeah, I didn't even get into Bison's EX moves. That's another story in itself.
Oh yeah, the projectile too.
Actually, another story in itself. Yeah, I'll tell that story at another time. But just to sum it up, just his ground normals in combination with his EX moves that Ed cannot reversal. It just makes it hard for him to deal with the neutral sometimes. So I would just have to edge it out to Bison 5.5.
Okay.
Maybe even 6.4, maybe 6.4. But I'm generous, and I don't like saying a matchup is that hard. So I would just have to give it a 5.5.
So 4.5 for Ed. And what V trigger would you give? What V trigger would you recommend?
Oh, V trigger 2. Most certainly V trigger 2. You do not want to pick V trigger 1 because all it takes is one EX head stomp, and what is a V trigger?
Yeah. Oh wow, what did you do before V trigger 2? You had to hit it. You had to combo into it.
I had to outplay my Bison opponents with the utmost cleanliness and matchup knowledge to the point where it still felt like a 5.5 in Bison favor. So yeah, I had to outplay my Bison opponents before V trigger 2. I don't know how I did it. I don't know how I managed with it, but we in season 3 now, so we don't have to worry about that.
It's crazy. Yeah. Crazy. So, next up is everyone's favorite, not bottom 27 character. We got Miss Cammy. Miss Cammy on the board. How does Ed deal with it?
Cammy is a tricky one. I actually think this matchup is even.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, despite her being, top 4, top 3-ish character,
top 1.
Ed has a lot. And I would have to say the ground game is not too bad for Ed. Yeah, she does has good walk speed, but it's not something that's too crazy, like high damage output. The only thing you really have to worry about Cammy is countering her jumps.
I feel you on that. This ain't about me, but I've been playing Cody a lot lately, and Cody can shut down a lot of jump angles and dive kicks. The V-skill is very strong at doing that. And Cammy players look stumped, like they just walk at me, and they're like wanting to jump, but they don't. It's like her mid range is fantastic too, but they're like, what do I do? What do I do with these great tools?
when you fight Cammy, like when you shut down their jumps, you're just like you feel like you
the
kind of
deer in the headlights.
They they want to jump. Like it's just they want to jump. It's like, but they got anti-air so many times. But in the back of your mind, you're like they want to jump still. Like the good Cammy players. Shout out to Punk too. I got a lot of matchup experience playing Cammy against him. Playing Ed against him. He has one of the best ground games in the game, in the business period. So it doesn't matter what character he picks, as long as they have a standard, good understanding of fundamentals and good normals on the ground, he just excels at that. So he's one of the Cammy players that actually doesn't have to jump in this matchup. Other Cammy players I play, they win by jumping. They win by, like dive kicking and then making me whiff anti-air and then getting their offense off of that.
Bro,
but that's just Cammy's game plan in general. Like that's just something that's just Cammy. That's part of the game plan. But
I'm trying to move this along, but I gotta say something about some of the Cammys I played. Some of them are intentionally jumping, although I'm hitting them with V skill because they're like, well, it's doing white health to him, so I think the plan is working. Wow. It's like. Try to hit me on the ground, and then you'll get the white health. Like, it's because they can't deviate from the. Okay, I'll stop. So we got an even matchup. What V trigger do you recommend for Cammy?
V trigger 1 because even though she has like stuff like EX Cannon Drill and EX Hooligan, you need to be able to control neutral, and I feel like V trigger 2, you could kind of use it, but I feel like it's you don't want to put yourself in a 50-50 guessing game when she has reversal too. So even if you do snatch yourself in, she has EX meter, and you have to guess. At the end of the day, you have to guess. Yeah, if you guess right, you get a good punish. But you don't want to. If you want to play it safe, you don't really want to use that. You don't want to have to be able to use that to make a comeback. So V trigger 1, you actually have a lot of setups to your disposal, even if she does use all of her EX options. I actually have a few setups where if she does wake up with EX and she hits you, she lands on the ball and you can do dash up and you can do season 3.5 combos to her. So yeah, so even if she wakes up and hits you with it, you can dash up. She lands on the ball, you can dash up. You get your combo, which does like maybe 35%, and you have her in the corner. So yeah, it's V trigger 1. I would have to say if you lab it, it's more valuable than V trigger 2 overall.
Interesting. All right, let's try to muscle through this. Birdie, what do you think about this Birdie matchup?
Birdie, I would have to say for the record, I just do not like this character.
Oh yeah, I feel you on that one, bro.
Not to say that I didn't, I don't like him because I didn't study the matchup. I just don't like him because he exemplifies stuff like Street Fighter 5. Like stuff you can't react to, random EX bull rush, bullhead, and like you're playing footsies. You're playing footsies, and it just comes out, and you just get hit. Like that's just what it is.
I think about. I'm not trying to throw any shade at the Capcom Pro Tour winner of last year, but I saw Mena whiff a heavy punch and then immediately jump, and I was like, what? But I thought about it. I think he knows that it's so challenging to whiff punish the character that if he whiffs a button that's seemingly whiff punishable, and then you try to whiff punish him, and then he jumps over you while you're trying to whiff punish, he's setting himself up for the jump. I'm like, that's genius and really annoying at the same time.
It is genius. It is definitely genius. So Ed, like, is the neutral is actually not that hard because everything Birdie does is kind of slow. So that's good. That's a good thing for Ed because you can kind of dictate the pace of the match. You can throw a fireball.
Mm-hmm.
If the Birdie player is smart, he'll be charging bullhorn the whole time. But if he's at a range, he can't really bullhorn through your fireball. So you have your tools in the matchup. You have your V skill, you have your fireball, you have your charge punch, and you have to kind of use those tools to dictate the pace or what you want to get the reaction out of the Birdie player. If they do V skill, you can kind of you can either predict that, you can charge your V skill and pull them in, and you can get a good combo. That's something I was doing at Menat at Defend the North. I think the second time I dropped like the last V skill, whatever. Mm-hmm. But you can also do your fireball if Can is on screen, make him either jump and you can anti-air him clean, or you can make him just have to wait, and then you can block the Can, and then it's back to neutral. But
anti-air with the psycho rising anti-air.
Yes.
So that'll avoid the Can, and then anti-air him when he's higher. Okay, I think I see.
Yep. Or also yeah, like so. Despite the fact that you just can't whip punish this character, like you just can't. I tried in training mode. I went to the lab. I think I might have tried for like 25 minutes. I did all of his buttons. You cannot whiff punish Birdie. You just can't. His for some reason, I don't know the hitboxes or the hurtboxes on his moves.
I gotta take your word for it.
That's just not a way you win this matchup because it just doesn't happen. So you have to find a way to win the matchup, and by that you have to control the neutral. You have to make the neutral in your favor by using Ed's tools to make Birdie want to do stuff, and that's how you win the matchup. And for this matchup, actually, V trigger wise, you can choose either V trigger depending on how you feel. Basically, like you can choose. This is a matchup. You can actually choose your V trigger.
Okay. Yeah, there's one thing about Birdie that I've felt playing with Cody now is that I can't really go to him. His mid-range buttons are very, very strong, and I can't. His crouching medium punch prevents you from jumping at him logically. You have to like wait for a heavy attack, and then by that you're totally guessing. But I've been noticing that if I don't do anything, he can't really do anything either. So I gotta find the middle ground between him throwing a can down and things like that I might be able to punish. So I had to let him come to me, and you know that's pretty much the size of it. Like with Zeku, I can actually whiff punish a few things with the slide, and that's really good. Young Zeku, I can whiff punish. It's an amazing thing. But
what, like slide or like crouching medium punch? Or
with slide, I can punish most of his heavy strength attacks. If he whips like a crouching hard kick or a heavy attack, I gotta stay at the right range, and then he's like at a loss for spamming those kinds of moves. But medium punch is still something I can't deal with. That button is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's something that's very, very, very good that Birdie has.
So is it in favor Birdie, Ed?
Good question. I would honestly have to say, even though I lost to Menat at Defend the North, that it's an even matchup.
Even? And again, I would like to mention that it's okay to not have an opinion. Like the not knowing is totally good. It's okay to be wrong, and it's okay to be not sure. So we can just leave things blank if you feel like that's the right choice. I'm totally down with that.
I would have to say for the most part, I have pretty good matchup knowledge, except for like Cody.
Okay.
Since he's so new.
So if we were gonna be on schedule, we have about 5 minutes to get through the rest of the characters. I'm gonna leave it up to you. Oh, really? We can do like two or three more, or we can take a break and then come back, or we can just do it. You know, it depends on you, my friend.
No, I have time. I have time. So it's up. The ball's in your court, my brother.
Cool. I'm good. Would you like to take a break, or do you want to keep going?
Yeah, we can go on.
Okay. All right. We got Can coming up next. The American hero.
Can.
Mm-hmm.
Can. So the game plan is basically similar to Ryu. His fireball is not that good, but it's something you have to worry about. Not as much, so you can kind of play your neutral game more freely. You can actually throw your spark. Since Ken's fireball is not as good as Ryu's, you can throw your forward medium punch into your fireball better than Ken can throw his fireball. Ken players like to jump. for some reason, even though their ground buttons are pretty good. So you can anti-air them for free. I don't know. It's just something about
just a few shots.
Being able,
just a warning shot.
I'm not taking shots at anybody. I'm just thinking something about Chem players or just people in general that they feel like just because they have air options that they feel like they have to jump.
It is such a weird thing, man. It's the Ken, not just this video game too. Other Street Fighters, Ken players. I don't know what it is. Like the inclination of that, maybe that type of person who plays Ken. I don't know what it is. It's so strange. Like that, you can almost categorize people by the character that they play, and the people who are attracted to Ken, the default people who are attracted to Ken, they want to wake up and mash on DP for some reason. Maybe it's because there's flames. I don't know, but I feel you.
That goes back to the Street Fighter 2 days, hyper fighting days when they finally put the little fireball sprites on Ken's DP. But anyway. Ken players, they just jump and you get a free anti-airs. The ground game is not as complex as Ryu. You can play footsies with Ken, and I feel like Ed has not much of a hard time with Ken, but sometimes jumping does do well for Ken when he's in V-trigger, and because of that, I would have to give the matchup an even score, 5-5. Even when you get your V-trigger 1 or 2, this is another matchup you can just choose your V-trigger for, just depending on how you feel or depending on what you feel like the Ken player is good at or just lack of knowledge on the V-trigger or whatever. But yeah, it's a 5.5 just because the matchup is just so standard, but it can be so explosive when either or gets a V-trigger.
Gotcha. Moving forward, Necalli. Man, the season 1 characters, I don't understand how people have played them since season 1. I get so I couldn't continue to play Laura. I did really well with Laura in the first season. Like I won quite a few tournaments in my local area, but I just had to move on. It was getting kind of
stale.
I suffered the same fate. The same thing that happened to you with Guile, I'll say the same thing happened to me with Laura. I was like, this is getting kind of this is not exciting for me anymore. The discovery phase is over.
Yes.
And now I'm just that's what it really comes down to. That's what I love about fighting games. For me personally, I love the learning experience and finding new things and applying it, and like I want cool things to happen. I want to make the things look exciting.
And then Laura, both.
It can be challenging to find that in this video game. But Necalli.
Necalli. So Necalli, however you say it. So the neutral game is not as challenging as one might think. You can just Seismo is not really a problem in this matchup because you can just block it, or the dash as dash covers so much range that if Necalli does decide to do a Seismo, it has to be kind of predictive. And if Ez decides to dash forward and they misplace their Seismo, you get free damage. The ground game it's not complex at all. They both have a lot of people say Necalli have stubby normals, but if that's the case, Ed does too. So I would have to say that the ground game is kind of evenish. You can kind of use your V skill to test the Necalli players. It's not really a matchup thing, it's just like a player's thing. But if they don't good, you get free pressure. The jump in, since Necalli's, oh my goodness. Thank the Lord and Savior himself. My bad if you're religious, but thank whoever's out there that Necalli's standing jab anti-air got nerfed.
Jeez.
Because it was definitely a turnoff for me in this game. That's another story, but thank goodness it's nerfed because Ed can jump in sometimes and just the Necalli have to DP. They have to DP now. It's a good thing. They have the DP. So if they don't DP, you get a free in. You don't have to really worry about the ground game like that. But sometimes you do have to jump because Seismos, if they do abuse Seismo and you jump,
big damage.
You get good damage. Exactly. So I would have to actually give this matchup a 5-5 because I play Phenom. Yeah, it's a 5-5 because it's a standard matchup. Even when Necalli gets V-trigger, he gets enhanced powered up, but it's not anything too crazy. So I would have to give it an even score.
Any recommendations for V-trigger usage?
V-trigger 2 because you do get the enhanced snatcher, because not V-trigger 1 so much because Necalli, like, I just feel like you don't get much from it. yeah, like you get to control neutral, but they can just walk up and block it, or they can like size move you while you're following behind it. You don't really get much, but if you use V Trigger 2 and they didn't use their V Trigger yet, they have to either use their V Reversal to get you off of them, which they don't use V Trigger in return, or you get free pressure. So they have to pick their poison, basically.
Sounds pretty straightforward. What about Vega? Maybe you've had some experience with Chris Battle, who I would like to have on the show sometime. But
Vega.
I don't mean to interject too much, but Vega I feel is underrated, but also not that great either. I think it's such an odd matchup. I personally have had trouble with the character, although I acknowledge he's bottom 27. You know what I'm saying?
He's only bottom 27. You know, nothing too crazy. But no, but Vega in this matchup, I feel like it's slightly in Vega's favor, even though he's not. Yeah, because his range on the ground is just really it's just a problem for Ed overall.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Like his mid range, like the claw medium punch, it's so pesky. It makes you like not want to. Like, what am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah, you can't whip punish it. It's hard. He has good walk speed.
And the jump angles can be troublesome too. Like every character that I play, it's not just like a character. It's me too. It's a problem that I have. Like identifying the jump roundhouse, that kind of. It's like I gotta jump back and hit jump back jab. It's so like inefficient.
Exactly.
The angle is so
then, like sometimes when he's close to you, he does like the jumping light kick. It's just a weird, awkward situation sometimes because you don't see it. So it's just awkward.
So I imagine 4.5 is what you'll label this for.
It's like I would have to give it slightly Vega's favor.
That's interesting.
You just can't challenge him on the ground that much. You actually it's a matchup where you actually have to try to like sneak your way in, and just apply your pressure. So like sneak your way in, apply your plus frames or your throw, get damage, make Vega have to come to you when you get the damage. But when Vega has a life lead, it's really hard for Ed. And the V trigger I recommend for this matchup is V trigger 1, because V trigger 2 you actually get punished if he reversals.
Oh, really?
So if he does the backflip, if he does the backflip 1 and you pull yourself in, he gets a punish. So you can't even do that.
I feel like every new character that I play, I have to lab out Vega's flip, because if I try to attack him after it, I always mistime it. And because he can have like 2 different timings, I feel like it's not legit. You can find a way to deal with both, but you have to research it. Otherwise, he just gets away with it, and then he's out of the corner.
Yeah, Vega does have the double, the 2 different V reversal, the backflip twice and the 1 flip. And Ed he has the spark. It's 8 frames active. I'm not sure. I haven't labbed to see if it covers both flips, and like like the Vega players, they flip and then they just press buttons after that.
It's almost like Vega is so far you don't find very many of them, and you don't run into them very often. And then when you do, it's like, oh, I gotta research how to deal with this thing. So it's not something you have readily available, like how to deal with both universals. And it's I don't think that I think there is a way to cover both with a lot of characters, but it's one of those things that's so low priority on things to do in the lab that it just doesn't get done. For me, it doesn't get done.
I'm gonna figure it out tonight. As a matter of fact, I'm just gonna take that little bit of time to figure out.
In case you play M Lizard, unless you gotta play M Lizard or like.
Might have to run into your tournament in tournament one day. Maybe Evo's coming up next week. I might have to have him in my pool.
Perhaps the biggest tournament in the year. Man, like I feel like even when I do know what to do, I don't see it enough to get practice. I just forget about it. But okay, oddly, not that oddly, but 4.5 in Vega in favor of the Ed matchup slightly. R.Mika, the old rainbows of the Mikas. This is one of those characters, right? I'm sure you love her just as much as Birdie.
Yes, I adore fighting this character. This character, she's so pretty. She has a friend that's pretty too.
She's got some side ab action for some reason.
She has rainbow in her name. I just love the ambience of this character. I love everything she stands for.
She has a meterless normal that gives her frame advantage and leaves her in range for a throw if you're close enough.
R.Mika. So yeah, ice cream. So Yeah, it might slightly be in her favor because when you get in the corners hard times, you can't reversal at all. Even though the Mika player wants to do stuff on your wake up, if she does jab and you reversal, she blocks and game over. So the neutral game is a little bit tricky. It's not as hard. You can challenge her drop kick pretty reliably with crouching fierce if you're on point. V skill you kind of don't want to rely on because if she does do drop kick and you do V skill, she beats you clean. It's an airborne attack, so she doesn't get snatched. Fireball you don't want to rely on too much because Mika players like to jump, and if they jump, they get you in the corner immediately, and then you might lose a round.
Anywhere on the screen, you're in the corner.
Yeah,
immediately. If not immediately, the next time. Next time I hit you.
And and we're talking season 3. We're not even talking about season 1 when she had the clap that put you in the corner immediately.
Oh my god.
No, when she clapped you in season 1, you lose a round. But now if she gets the hit, if she gets a hit, she only puts you in the corner. At least only puts you in the corner. So you at least have, a reasonable guess after that.
So you would put this as a 4.5 for Ed.
It's funny because I don't know the matchup too well, but the Mika players I've run into, I haven't had too much trouble, but I would have to say it's uncomfortable for Ed. Yeah, so I would have to give it a slight edge to Mika, 5.5.
Okay. One thing I do want to, like a small detail with this matchup, you mentioned that she likes to jump a lot. She can change the trajectory of her jump while she's in the air with the down medium punch and just immediately splash downwards. How do you deal with that as Ed? Because if you do a cycle rising, it's going to whiff, right?
Oh, it's a splendid tool that she has in her arsenal. She just has to have it. She can't live without it. She just has to have it. But Ed does have down V skills to deal with it pretty reliably.
Really?
So
down V skill?
Yes.
So it's gonna, before she even decides to do the splash or a regular jump in, you can grab her out the air at that angle at that point.
Exactly.
I feel like it's a bit slow, but I feel you.
The body splash, it delays her descending. It's her descent.
Oh.
So it catches her pretty cleanly too.
She floats for a second. I don't think I've ever noticed that.
Yeah.
Do you have a recommended V trigger for this matchup?
Recommended V trigger? V trigger 2, because V trigger 1 is another one of those cases where, if she jumps, she doesn't really have to worry about V trigger 1 like that because she has a splash. And I don't know. I just feel it. I feel like you don't get much mileage off of V trigger 1. V trigger 2 is another case where if you use it, she has to either reversal, so she doesn't have V trigger. She has to basically pick her poison once you get it. You have to make it count though.
All right. Next up, Rashid, master of the turbulent wind himself.
This matchup, it's I would give it an even score, 5.5. There are certain instances where it can be uncomfortable for Ed because he has like those ranges where he does tornado and you can't just reversal between it because he's at a range where he's safe. But the ground game is actually not that devastating. It's a standard ground game. You can actually whiff punish his normals, and unlike Birdie's, you can whiff punish Rashid's normals, the down fears, the infamous down fears. You can whiff punish with your stand fears or your stand medium kick. All you have to do really is worry about his approach, like his dash in, his jumps. When you get him in the corner, you have to counter his jump off the wall. Yeah, it's an even matchup. Even you have reliable ways to deal with his V trigger 2 or his V trigger 1, whichever one he decides to choose. Yeah, it's not much of a problematic matchup, but it's not much of a favorable matchup. So I would have to give that one an even one across the board.
So far, none of those even mentioned or favorable matchups for Ed.
Yeah, like the new characters are, to me, are like even-ish across the board.
So what V trigger would you recommend? And I have a follow-up question.
V trigger 2 most certainly,
really?
Because V trigger 1, V trigger 1 it's another case of. All right, so let's I'll just give a scenario. So you're in the corner, you use V trigger 1, and Rashid does backdash, 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 and you have to chase him down, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now you have him in the corner, and he does jump off the wall, jump out the wall. Now you just wasted a V trigger. Yeah, you just wasted a V trigger. Or I'll give you a better one. Backdash, 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 backdash. You chase behind him, and he does jump into EX Eagle Spike, and this projectile invincible.
Okay. I see.
and V trigger. What's that?
Yep.
What was that you just used? That ball on the screen. What was that? I don't know what that is.
Comeback mechanic. No, I'm good, bro.
All I know is I have projectile invincible moves, and that's a good game.
So you mentioned that the hard punch can whiff punish his crouching hard punch, where the crush counter hits, that kind of thing. Can you activate V trigger 2 off of that hard punch and convert off of it, off of a whiff punish? From that distance.
From that distance. No, you can't. No, you can't.
So I guess that would be one situation where V-Trigger 1 could come in handy if you did hard punch and then the fast-moving projectile, and like you get a decent. But it's probably not worth what you probably have with the utility you get from V-Trigger 2.
Exactly. The mileage you get off of V-Trigger 2 is actually really, really good in this matchup, and you can actually do hard punch, and if you have critical art, you can do hard punch, activate into critical art.
Okay.
And then still have your 3 V triggers. You have them on knockdown, and you still have your 3 snatchers to deal with the rest of the matchup. So,
all right, it looks like we're almost halfway done. I think maybe almost halfway done. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We've done 11 characters. We're almost halfway done at 16. So Karen's up next.
Karin. I would have to say this matchup is slightly in Karen's favor, 5.5. I haven't given a 6-4 yet, have I? I think it's just me. I think if it was a different Ed player, they would have said it's 6-4.
Yeah. But I'm totally I do the same thing because I feel like there's room to improve. I don't feel like it's getting worse the more I know. You know what I'm saying?
Of course not. I would have to give it slightly Karen's favor only because it's another Chun-Li situation where her ground game with her normals is just so superior to Ed's, combined with her walk speed. It's sometimes it's hard to whiff punish Karin. You have to use your fireball again to make her do stuff.
Yeah, she's got the EX command dash that can go through it.
Yeah, her V skill is annoying to deal with. It's safe on block. She gets in for free.
Yeah, it seems like she has a plethora of tools that can get around what your main tools might be, and you have to find some other alternate route to get to where you can be your character.
You have to rely to win this matchup clean. You have to rely on the Karen's players' lack of knowledge. But when they do have knowledge in this matchup, it's in her favor outright. I'm not gonna say 6-4, but it's definitely favorable for Karin. The ground game is just solid, too solid for her. It's too solid.
Any V-Trigger recommendations?
This is another one. I usually choose V-Trigger 1, but I might start playing V-Trigger 2 just so they can't use V-Trigger. I don't know. It depends. It depends on how you feel. It's another one of those scenarios. It depends on how you feel.
I'll put a 2 with a question mark beside it. How about the old burly Russian bear himself, Zangief?
Zangief.
Nerfed into the ground, apparently.
Surprisingly, this is a matchup that's favorable for Ed, actually.
Really?
It's favorable. Yeah. Because Zangief, all right, so the things that Zangief has in neutral, stuff like V skill and charge punch, Ed doesn't really have an issue with because V skill breaks armor. So those moves that they use to rely on armor, like the V skill to counter your V skill, charge armor punch, you can just use your V skill to counter it. It doesn't even have to be a charged V skill. You can just press it, and if he does it, you get in, it breaks armor, and you start your offense. It's not something that you would normally do against Zangief. In this Street Fighter fight is it doesn't matter if you're fighting against a grappler. It's getting in to fight them up close is something that you can do in this game. It's not like Street Fighter 4 where Zangief, you have to guess on his wake up, you're playing roulette on his wake up. In this game, you have a reliable way it's just designed for you to apply pressure. It doesn't matter what type of archetype you are. Maybe like if you were fighting like Birdie in season 2.5 or like season 2 or whatever, you have to play roulette on his wake up. Not so much, but in this game, you get the knockdown and you get your reward pretty much in 3.5. So
I think all he has is an armor move and an invincible EXSPD, so it's not really amazing choices.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's kind of like roulette, but
I feel like that's the same thing Birdie has. You know, he doesn't have an invincible reversal. Well, he used to have Bullhorn, and that was kind of, you know, obnoxious. But I don't know. I feel like Zangief has the same options that Birdie does. I'm not quite sure what makes them different. Maybe it's the neutral. I don't know. I can't quite. Oh, you know, can as well.
Yeah. Neutral for Birdie is better than Zangief. It's just more troublesome. It's the fact that Can is actually really good. You can't challenge Can, so that makes it a little bit more. Even though they're grapplers, it makes it a little bit more favorable.
Yeah, and it's not even it's not even the can itself, but it's you're not allowed to give him enough space, because if he can throw the can for free, then he bypass. It's almost like he has a slow shoulder tackle from Urien, meterless, that's going to give him V trigger. So he can just walk behind it, and then you have to address it. Like, I've gotten the habit of walking into the can, walking enough just to block it so he doesn't get space, and he's gonna get a mix-up. I just gotta accept it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like that's something I started doing too. Like as soon as you see Can, or as soon as you see him start drinking the can, I just walk forward. If I'm not ready to do something else, and just take the block and whatever. Like it's just better than backing yourself into the corner.
I feel like I'm doing community service. Like, all right, I gotta clean this up. Let me get up to this can and then accept it. And deal with this Birdie mix-up. So Zangief is slightly in favor for Ed. How much in favor would you say?
Yeah, I would give that one a 6.4 actually.
Really, a 6? Not even a Di3mini0n 0.5. Give that a 6.
No. I would give it a clean, solid 6.4, favorable for Ed.
Nice. So what? You know, Zangief players aren't gonna like that one, because they're gonna immediately agree with it. Like, yeah, Zangief sucks. Chew on some bubble gum. What V trigger would you recommend?
Rightfully so. V-Trigger, I would say V-Trigger 2, because V-Trigger 1 is another one of those cases where Zangief doesn't have to deal with it when you have Lariat. You get too much mileage off of V-Trigger 2.
It's almost like V-Trigger 1 is best used when they don't have a direct answer for it, or like any option.
Yeah, V-Trigger 1 it's a really good neutral V-Trigger, but against characters that have projectile invincible moves, or just it's V-Trigger 2. It's better. I'm glad they gave it to him. It's better. It's better.
All right, let's try to get through this. Laura, how do you feel about this character?
Laura,
you got some IDOM action over there in the New York lands.
Yeah. Surprisingly, speaking of IDOM. Ever since I started playing Ed ever since season 3 or 3.5, when Ed became a more solid character, is the most I've ever won against this guy.
And Laura received some adjustments. Laura has received some adjustments in history of Street Fighter V.
Yeah. So ever since Ed came along with V-Trigger 2, I've gotten a considerable number of wins versus this guy. So praise be to Motier Ed for getting me these subtle victories of achievements that hold dear to my heart. But Laura, you have good neutral tools to deal with her neutral tools. You can use V skill through her charge fireball, so she can't just keep using charge fireball. Your ground normals are actually better than hers. You can whiff punish her. You can kind of freestyle in neutral. You don't have to feel like you're too limited. You can use your charge punch. You can fireball to make her do stuff. You can dash up to if they're not ready and start your offense. All you have to do really is, sometimes you're in situations where you might have to stop her from doing stuff. If she does manage to get a charge fireball out there, you have good tools to counter it. So that's not anything to really be weary of. And as far as matchup goes, I would say even, only because she has V-Trigger. Only because of that. If it wasn't because of V-Trigger 1, I would give it to Ed.
Wow, so her comeback factor is what makes this not in favor, or not one not one or the other. Okay.
Yes. And since you can't, and you can't, You can't if she does mix you up and she does like the little cross under mix up, the one that if she lands you lose around, you can't reversal, because if you do and she blocks it, you really lose around. So you it's something that you have to be like, oh, I know the lower player is gonna not do standing jab to check me, or not block, or you have to basically hope she does something other than standing jab or block.
You gotta thread the
If she
needle with
does-
a reed, is what I feel like you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. If she does anything other than those two, and or like maybe like neutral jump, like she has like 3 of those options to like stop your EX reversal. If she does anything other than those 3 things, then you can get her off of you. But it's not the odds are not in your favor when you're in that scenario. So yeah, I would have to give it an even matchup only because of V trigger.
Interesting. So what V trigger would you use as Ed?
V trigger 2, because V trigger 1 is a projectile and she has multiple projectile moves to deal with projectiles.
Isn't it just EX command grab?
Yeah, EX command grab goes through projectiles. So, and even little stuff like, you know, like you're chasing her down with V trigger 1. Let's just say you have it out on the screen and she does like jump, and you know, like that jump roundhouse, the one that changes her jump arc a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like she can just get past it with that sometimes. Like you're not ready. It's just another option you have to deal with sometimes. She just jumps and gets past it. So V trigger 2 definitely, because it's another scenario where they have to V reversal if they want to get you off of them, and if they don't, then you get free pressure and they have to guess. So yep, V trigger 2.
Got it. So we got to talk about this Dhalsim character, Arturo, the master of Dhalsim. One of them. This seems like such an odd matchup. Ed versus Dhalsim. I don't know what's.
I actually don't like this matchup at all.
You don't like it?
No, I don't. I don't like it, and right now.
It sounds like you're complaining to a manager. Like, my pizza wasn't done right. I do not like this Dhalsim topping on my pizza.
I don't like Dhalsim because he's like, I pride myself in being able to navigate the lane and the defense, but in this game, you just can't do that with this character in this matchup. Like,
I feel like Dhalsim's standing medium kick is so stupid. I don't know what to do about that button. It always feels like I gotta block and then maybe block some more. Then I don't know what to do about it. I have to preemptively maybe crush counter it with something, lab it up. It's hard to. Cody does not have fun in that matchup either.
Dhalsim has fun against characters that have to play neutral. He just does in general.
He's a really polarizing. Like, I would love to have Arturo, Commander Jesse, any Dhalsim player on the show and see what they think about the character, because he seems like he's very powerful sometimes, and he seems like he's terrible sometimes.
This one of the rules of Street Fighter is make sure your main has this. You have to make sure your main character fights Dhalsim, Zangief, and Guile. Those 3 characters. If they can fight those 3 characters, you can get by in Street Fighter. Competitively, you can get by.
You know, interestingly enough, all the characters that I've played, they don't deal... and it's mostly like... So, we're talking about Kolin, Urien, sort of, not really Laura, and Cody right now, and Zeku too as well. Fuck, Guile destroys. I don't know what to do in those matchups. I feel like I have to play so wild or so, like, out of what I tend to play like. I have to play stupid. Force plays that happen.
Exactly.
And Dhalsim has that same effect, I think. So how does Ed play that way? Can he? Or is it an effective strategy?
Oh, man. I don't know where to start. You can't jump. So that's, you really can only jump if, like, I don't know. Like, I guess part of the matchup is you have to keep jumping to get a clean hit. That's the madman in me, or that's just the madman in general. The other part of the matchup is throwing out. Interesting enough, Ed's crouching roundhouse has 10 frames of activity. No, 9 frames of active frames. So you can kind of just throw it out there. And if he presses the button, you get a crush counter. It's hard knockdown. You dash up, dash up.
Was it crouching hard kick or crouching head? I think crouching hard kick has a lot of active frames.
Yeah. Crouching roundhouse, crouching hard kick. That has like 9 frames or something, or 10 frames, I think. I don't know, but it has enough so you can crush counter him if he presses the button, and you can get him for free. You can also use it to whiff punish his standing fierce if he chooses to do that from far range. But no, this matchup you actually just have to like kind of study it down to a T, and then use your matchup experience to gauge whether you think a player does X, Y, and Z. And it's just not a matchup that you can ever feel comfortable with because there's no set answer to play this matchup. But
having said that,
in terms of V-Trigger 2, obviously not V-Trigger 1 because Dhalsim players can just flow over it, nullify it completely, and you just lost your comeback factor or whatever Hail Mary you needed to win. But V-Trigger 2, that is funny because even though V-Trigger 2 is better than V-Trigger 1, it's still not a set answer because it doesn't go full screen, so Dhalsim players can still kind of play their game.
I feel like if Ed had a slow-moving projectile, like his EX Psycho shot, it travels too quickly. If it traveled slower, or if he had an option for it to travel slower, he probably shouldn't for other matchups. But if he did have that, it would give him some kind of way to make Dhalsim move in his put the ball in his court sometimes. That's what I do with the EX Tornado sweep with Cody. It like forces him to V skill, and then I can like hard kick ruffian him. It makes him have to dance around instead of me constantly being at his mercy.
I don't like this matchup, man. I don't like it.
So, biased or unbiased, what do you think it is for Ed?
I'll say 6-4 Dhalsim.
Whoa, okay, so we got a 4 on the board. Is that the first 4?
This is the first 6-4 I give that's not an S favor, yes.
All right. Interesting.
The first one. This is not the only one. I know my matchups.
All right. I'll let that be. What about F.A.N.G? Your former as a former F.A.N.G main. What do you think about this match?
Yes. This is actually tricky. I have a lot of experience in this matchup. I'm either gonna give it a even matchup. Even.
Okay.
I would normally say it's slightly in Ed's favor because Ed does have a lot of good tools against F.A.N.G, but I don't know if I have enough high level F.A.N.G experience to say if it's in Ed's favor, so I'll give it an even until further notice. But Ed actually does have good neutral tools to deal with in this matchup, namely being V skill and his slow fireball. It gives F.A.N.G a hard time. But F.A.N.G does have a lot of counters to Ed's neutral game as well. So, I mean, like, with, like, Coward Crouch and, like, the EX slide to just get out of dodge. F.A.N.G's jump arc sometimes could be troublesome for Ed to deal with. F.A.N.G does outrange Ed in normals, so Ed can't just play a standard footsie ground game. And then F.A.N.G does have his V-trigger to, do stuff that he wants when he does activate it. Same for Ed. So they both have their ups and downs with this matchup, but just coming down to it, I would have to give it an even matchup because they both don't have anything favorable. They both don't have anything favorable going for them in the matchup. It's just kind of a standard matchup overall, even with V-trigger in the
mix.
Yeah, in the mix, yeah. So
a begrudgingly even matchup. F.A.N.G is such a weird character to fight, just like a lot of characters, like these bottom 27 characters, Dhalsim, maybe Nash, Vega. It's so hard to digest what's really going on. It almost feels like there's a lot of haphazard activity going on in the neutral and navigating. It's almost like both characters are trying to implement things that they have to be a little bit desperate about and not sure, and not being sure what the results are going to be. So it doesn't, but it doesn't feel oppressive in either direction.
Mm-hmm. Like this game, sometimes the neutral is so much at a stalemate sometimes, but there's a lot of instances where an opponent does something right before you do something, and it might be like a similar strategy, but since they made the first move, they have an advantage. You kind of just have to kind of do stuff sometimes in neutral and just make the best of the situation at hand. So that's a lot of the time Street Fighter V in a nutshell. Nutshell.
I like that. The emphasis on the nut part.
Nutshell.
Gotta play a little nutty. What about any V-trigger recommendations for this matchup?
V-trigger recommendation. Yeah. This is another matchup where you can choose which either one you feel comfortable with. I choose V-trigger 1, but if the F.A.N.G player is smart, F.A.N.G player is smart, they can just use EX command dash to just get out of dodge, and then that's another scenario where V-Trigger 1 is just not applicable. So V-Trigger 2 in general, I would have to say it's the safest bet, even though F.A.N.G can be reversal and get out of dodge. I would still have to say V-Trigger 2 is the more guaranteed one in this matchup.
All right, so up next, here we go. It's everyone's favorite bottom 27. There's no dispute. He's the worst character in the game. Alejandro, Alex.
Does it say something? Yeah.
The old jazzy NYC himself. The old French fry McDonald head, everyone's favorite. Command grab, no Oki having. Just hold the V trigger and hope for the best.
Backwards leg looking. Backwards leg looking.
Make the hype video compilation with some slow motion and some weird effects. Because you guessed right.
Always making comebacks versus mid-tier players, low-level players in the compilation.
I hate this character online. But, Alejandro, how does he do against Eduardo? You gotta think about this one. He's the worst character in the game, my friend.
I haven't played against Gunfight with this character. But
that's like the gold standard, right? Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna interject. I'll let it go.
But right now, I will give it a solid 5.5 in Ed's favor.
Okay.
Because Ed's neutral tools just he has some neutral tools to deal with Alex. The only thing you really have to worry about is like standing roundhouse. Obviously, Alex, he does have stuff to bypass neutral like EX stomp and EX head, EX gun. Yes, yeah, EX slash elbow, light charge. I forgot the scientific name for that move, the proper term for it, but he does have his fair share of neutral tools. Crouching medium punch sometimes can be a bothersome, but he doesn't have a reversal, so you can kind of maul him. Well, you can maul him on his defense, and this is not a good time for Alex until he does get V-trigger. Then you kind of have to play like a passive style because he can parry literally everything you do. Like, if you do standing medium punch, and so standing medium punch, there's a 3-frame gap in between. So if he does V trigger parry, it's trouble for you. So you have to kind of wait a little bit. If you're on offense against him, he can parry your V skill. He gets a free whatever if he parries anything you do with V skill. So yeah, when he has V trigger, the matchup number actually changed. I think like the matchup actually becomes a little bit in Alex's favor.
It's always comical to me. I mean, I don't mean to sound insulting here, but when an Alex player guesses a parry and they're wrong, they don't get the parry, but it's like, oh, let's just see what happens if I hold it out. Oh, he jumped back. Let it rip. Oh, comeback video.
Alex, he might be low tier, but to me, he's another one of those characters that you do have to be careful on buffing because his comeback record is not too shabby, and one little change could mean a heap load of Alex complaints in the future. So I think the devs are really, really cautious on this character. I don't blame him. I don't blame Alex. He's one of those characters that it's hard to balance. He's hard to balance.
Yeah, all they gotta do is make command grab be +2 if he dashes up, and then boom, he's ridiculous.
Yeah,
don't give me that.
Yeah,
no, don't do that.
Right now he's at a place where, right now I always say so. Alex players like Mika is just a better version because Brimstone, she has that, right? She has that command grab dash up plus, and then command grab loop without using EX. So she's basically a better version of what Alex could be.
Yep, there's one thing, this is an aside, but I feel like Alex players could be playing a little bit more defensively, and that is like positioning yourself for anti-airs, using the crouching medium punch as a counter poke. If your opponent allows you enough space, get the V skill to build the meter, get the hard hit. But I totally understand that there is an urgency to play a little bit wild to make those big plays happen. Otherwise, you're not being Alex. So.
Yeah, I tried to play Alex in season 1. Actually, I played him for maybe a month and a half, and at first, naturally by nature, my style off the rip is defensive. I'm a defensive player at nature. I'm trying to be more offensive, trying to switch it up a little bit. But the more defensive I was with the character, the more success I didn't get.
I was writing a guide for the character very briefly, and on the preface, the introductory, I was like, you have to. I try to play by the books at first just to see what's really there. But with Alex, the books weren't really there. I was like, you have to be a little gimmicky. You have to do things that aren't numerically sound. You have to be psychological, but it's sometimes it doesn't feel psychological. It just feels like kind of random. But I think you have to sneak it in there.
You have to have you have to have one screw loose up there to be able to. At least one, maybe a few more, but at least one.
You gotta have one French fry up there that's a little too oily and dripping off. You know, you got like the. Anyways, what V trigger would you recommend for this this particular matchup?
V trigger 1, because V trigger 2 is another instance of it not being you can't use it if he has V trigger 1 because he can just parry it and you're in trouble. V trigger 1,
much like Ryu.
Yes, exactly, much like Ryu. V trigger 1, you can use it more for a neutral tool, like kind of like slow the pace of the matchup down if things are getting a little hectic. You can use spicing around. Even if he does have moves like EX Stomp and EX Headbutt to kind of get past it, but you can counter it if you see it. Like I do it with Guile all the time. If I think they're gonna do I can see if they're gonna do like EX Stomp or EX Headbutt, and I can like air throw them on reaction. So you can kind of do the same thing with Ed. You can do like jump medium punch into down B skill, and then the fireball's still on screen, then they still have to deal with the fireball. So V trigger 1 is just a better neutral controller in the matchup. Because
I'm thinking about EX Headbutt. It does have the ability. It is an answer potentially to the V trigger 1, whereas in some cases like it would be a problem. But I also think because the headbutt is either EX Headbutt is either Stun Gun Headbutt, it's either really extremely devastating or whatever, because it doesn't have any Okizeme. But it does incredible amounts of stun. If he gets a stun with it, you're not having a good time. But if it's just a hit, it's bypassing the V trigger, which is kind of a not so great. But because there's no Okizeme off of it, or it's not really strong.
A lot of characters don't have like those type of moves to just get past fireballs like that. So that is something that he has that a lot of characters don't have the luxury of doing, getting past like a projectile.
Yeah, there's some interesting setups you can do with it as well. Like the headbutt, I believe, has enough active frames where you can meaty both knockdowns. I could be wrong about that. I'm trying to recall. But there was some research I did with Alex. He has a lot of interesting things that I don't see a lot of Alex players using. Like the crouching hard punch. His crouching hard punch, I believe, has more than 4 active frames. I think it was 5. But you can use that as a way to activate V trigger. I think if you do the EX elbow slash knockdown and you dash up and hit crouching hard punch, it'll cover both knockdowns, and then if they block it, you activate the V trigger. And if they get hit by it, you can still activate it, or you can just let it hang and then use the V trigger activation for the next knockdown after you get that crouching hard punch. I think he has a lot of interesting things that Alex players aren't utilizing, but that's not me saying that they're wrong about him being not a great character. I totally agree with that.
That's fair. That's fair.
So next we got
this guy,
Guile,
my main man.
The old goulash. Speaking of interesting hairstyles, we got the flat top master himself, formerly known as Down Back, not so much anymore.
this guy, man, this boom chucker, this guy.
God darn chucking all the booms.
He a problem for Ed, man.
Oh, really?
He a problem for Ed. He like the worst matchup. I'm gonna just say that right now. He like the worst matchup.
I'm trying to drink some water over here about that.
he the worst one, cause when he got a boom on the screen, man, and since this game got input lag, man, there's no strategy to deal with this guy, man.
You got no direction? You're lost? You got no Google Maps? No MapQuest even? No direction? What do I do?
When he throw a boom on the screen, man, you either gotta block or you gotta jump.
It's like when you see that light punch boom come out, you're like, all right, that's it. He controls everything. What am I supposed to do? This god darn boom chucker chucked out a boom. What am I supposed to do?
You can't do shit. You can't do anything. You
but
gotta block.
Can't you nullify it, my friend? Can't you hit the door medium punch and then it goes away and then maybe you can chuck some plasma at him yourself?
No, you can't. You can't do that, kid. Not only is Boom such an asshole in this matchup, but his normals are too.
What if he hits a hard punch when you try to throw a projectile at you? Is he gonna crush counter you?
Oh man, I think you just answered that question yourself, buddy. If you throw a spark and he does forward fierce,
Well,
it could be the game.
Hot diggity dog. This sounds like a poorly played out matchup for Ed. You got some
Then
numbers,
if you got a life deficit, you got to try to make an honest comeback. But oh man, this Guile, he's so solid. Nothing works. Real talk. I'm gonna have to give this matchup like a 6.5, man.
Oh my
like a
goodness!
Or 7.3,
Hold up, hold the phone. This is unexplored territory. You're saying that? What is this? 3.5? I gotta give him 3.5. Is my math correct?
This is
3.5.
This is literally bottom tier versus top of the top. This got to be like 6.5 to 7.3.
Oh man, it's like, oh man, I don't know if you played the Bruce Lee fighting game for Street Fighter, but there is like, if you lost, you had to like fight your dreams. It was like this dude in a samurai outfit. He was so busted. So I'm like over here as Bruce Lee. Like Bruce Lee is Ed, and Guile is like your former dream, and it's so buff. You're like, you know, revisiting old memories. I gotta deal with this.
Man, Guile was much more fair than this when I played him. In my day, Guile was a well constructed character. He wasn't too OP, but in this game, man, his charge time is too good, man. He is like a fireball character in a charge character.
Jeez. So I mean, do you have any glimmer of hope if you pick a better V trigger?
Man. V-Trigger 2, don't do it. Don't do it because he just back smack you off with his V reversal. He just back smack you off.
Really?
And you lose a lot of white life, and you got to play neutral again, and you got to block more bones, and you never get that white life back. So you're just shit out of luck.
I never thought about that. I never thought about that because V-Trigger. You know, I always think in terms of you V reversal them. Do you have a good knockdown? Guile doesn't need a good knockdown. His neutral is too powerful. So you knock them down, and that's it.
Oh. V-Trigger 1 is V-Trigger 1, man. V-Trigger 1.
You have to pick
the ball.
You gotta pick the.
Pick the ball.
You gotta desperately try to nullify the booms and the V. Man, I can't believe it, man.
Yeah, it's not that much better, but it's better than V-Trigger 2, man. V-Trigger 2, you just don't get anything.
I can't believe he has a projectile that hits twice, moves slowly across the screen, and it gives him a V-bar.
Oh man. Oh yeah, man. Next character, man. That's all I need to say about this guy, man.
Oh, well, the next character is one you may know fondly of. She has a kunai. She has some jumps. She's got many jumps, in fact. She can change her jump with those kunais. And up until recently, she could reset you with one of these dem dare jumps, and then, you know, left or right, you gotta guess, and she can confirm. And then if she has V-trigger, she can make it happen. Ibuki. How does Ed fare against Ibuki? With 2 O's.
Oh.
Ibuki.
Ibuki. This girl. Okay, so you can't reliably anti-air when she jumps because of kunai, obviously. But if you have EX, you can go for a psycho upper if you think she's gonna do jump EX kunai. But if she doesn't jump EX kunai and goes for a regular jump, then you get punished. So it's a guess when she jumps all the time. The ground game, I think she wins outright. Her V skill is annoying.
Sorry to interject, but when you do an EX cycle upper, aren't you in like a counter hit state?
Yes.
So on top of a full jump in, she gets a nice little, it's a little added bonus from counter hit damage.
Oh yeah, she gets a standing roundhouse into a combo into the corner.
Yikes.
So yeah, and you know she got that little thing. Now they took out throw loops for the most part, but she got that little pseudo throw loop. You know what I'm saying? So
she's close. She's kind of close to you.
You gotta guess fast. It happens so fast. It just happens so fast. Like she just walks up to you, throws you again. Sometimes she does a shimmy, sometimes she does a meaty. It just happens all so fast.
And then you lose CEO.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Was that 3 throws or 4 throws? Which one? I couldn't keep count. It happened so fast. You know, You know, so yeah, and then
So many thoughts.
that's just up close. So her neutral game, her V skill is sometimes it's hard to deal with. There's ways to deal with it, but you have to be on point. Like you can actually Psycho Rising her V skill on startup, but you have to be fast because Psycho Rising has I think after the 3rd frame it's projectile invincible.
Oh, that's interesting. I'll look at that up. I do recall that. It's projectile.
So, actually,
hold on.
Yeah, exactly. Projectile invincible. Or if you have EX, if you see her startup the startup of the V skill, you can just EX Psycho Upper.
Wow, projectile invincible on frames 3 through 9. So that is like a direct answer for it, as long as you're in range. If you if you miss, that's bad news. But fully invincible 10 through 14. Yeah. Wow, really? Airborne 13 through 15. I thought this had upper body at least. Huh.
Oh man, you have to hit that. You have to hit those 2 kicks really early.
Yeah, it's good. There's no input attached to it. So I mean, it's absolutely an anti-air, but I thought it hit like at least airborne invincibility or something like that. Huh. It's better. It's better at being an anti-projectile against a Ibuki than it is at being an anti-air. Not to say that's a bad anti-air.
Yeah.
Huh. That's really good to know.
Other than that, when she knocks you down, you can't really do much. You have to just pray she doesn't do a standing jab. Other than that, if she commits to anything other than standing jab, then yeah, you can, I guess, reverse. Reversal is actually let me let y'all know a little something about me. Reversal is never. That's like my last option ever. Reversal on Wake Up, especially with a character like Ed, because it's not really it's not like a fast reversal. So
yeah,
like. It's just not a smart thing to do. You know what I mean?
So I can explain this briefly. Maybe it'll give you a break. I feel like you've had a lot of, you've been working hard at like describing these things. So let me talk about this EX Cycle Upper. So I'm gonna pull up the startup of EX Cycle Upper. EX is 16 frames of startup. So if you have a move that is total animation of 16 frames or less, let's go with 15 for now. If it has 15 frames or less, if they happen at the same time, you're going to recover before Psycho Upper is going to hit you, EX Psycho Upper, even though it's invincible. It's going to whiff. Your attack is going to whiff because he's invincible, but you're going to be able to block after you input that attack. So when you knock Ed down, usually if you have a good setup, you're going to be +2. So you can even have a move that's slower than Psycho Upper, but because you're doing it earlier than he's coming off the ground, you will still recover in time to still block it. So there's a lot of scenarios like this. So when in turn how this changes your opponent's decision making, perhaps, is that they're inclined to do lighter attacks. So really, the Psycho Rising is a way to divert their choices when they knock you down in these kinds of scenarios. So they may be more inclined to use light attacks rather than those medium attacks, rather than their throw or like a command grab kind of thing. It has some answers, but there are answers. Whereas like if you had an invincible move like a Dragon Punch, it's 3 frame startup, so there's nothing in the game that's like 2 frames or any way you can make that safe. In fact, there are ways you can make like something like EX Rashid's invincible move, but that's because it has much longer startup. But Psycho Rising, along with Headbutt from Urien and Falke's, whatever Psycho Schneid I think it is, they all have slow startup, so you can block in time after you do a light attack. So Ed has the same problem where Psycho Rising, it is an invincible option, but it has more limitations on what it's effective against. And sometimes the slow startup can be beneficial using it offensively, but the risk attached to it being crush counterable, it's very the move takes some effort to use effectively.
That was a splendid explanation.
Oh, really?
I was just like, yeah, like, that was very scientific. Like,
thank you. I've been working at this for about a year now.
Maybe I should start working on that too. But to add to that, Psycho Upper EX definitely is definitely one of the best moves in the game used offensively because the opponent has to just block. Like if they do anything. If you do it meaty and they do anything besides block, then it's a free attack. So, and it's especially good when they're about to get stunned too, because he would just like to press buttons when they're about to get stunned. So, yeah, this matchup, I would have to give a 6-4 to Ibuki.
Ouch.
And I have a lot of experience in this matchup too, but I still haven't played Fujimura and I haven't played Cien yet. So, I would just say 6-4 for future. for future encounters.
So the top 5, we haven't gotten to Akuma yet, so I'll say that. I want to see how Ed stacks up against those not bottom 27 characters. But let's get this out the way. Ibuki, which V-Trigger would you recommend?
V-Trigger 2, because she has reliable ways to get around V-Trigger 1 with the jump parachutes. Her tools in neutral are just really, really good. Like, I guess if you're following behind V-Trigger 1, she can just like throw the EX kunais out there and just make you have to halt your momentum, and then she gets more breathing room to think, and then by the time you know it, your V trigger done. So V trigger 2, it's another instance where you might, even though they use V trigger 2 now, and they usually get a V trigger before you get your V trigger 2, you can make her waste her V trigger reversal, and hopefully not make her get that extra V trigger 2 comeback potential that people hate so much.
Man, I really want to think about the script of matchups. Like, if you're winning, she gets her V-Trigger 2 earlier than you would if she's winning, because there's a difference of the 2-bar and 3-bar. But what V-Trigger is more effective? Ibuki's 2-bar V-Trigger, I think, is more likely to lock you out of even using your 3-bar V-Trigger by the time that she gets. So it's almost like you don't want to win too early. Is kind of what I'm thinking about. You want to win at a decent pace. You want to you almost want to let her win a little bit so you get your V trigger before. I don't even know how to describe it.
No, I know exactly what you're saying, and there's another character that's coming up soon that I'm gonna apply that philosophy to. But we're gonna get to that though.
Is it Balrog? Because that's who's next.
Nope.
All right. What do you think about that matchup?
I mean, that's who's next, but that's not the guy.
Okay.
He's coming. Don't worry. He's popular too. He's high up there. He's very, very high at the top of the mountain. So
what about the artist formerly known as Balrog, who's not so Balrog anymore, yet he's still kind of Balrog. I've seen Smug do some work at the old E-League. I think he's still got it. But I also think he's bottom 27 now.
Balrog, he is, at first glance, he is trouble for Ed, because Ed doesn't have a good punish for a rush punch at any range. So Balrog, and I'm surprised when I fight Balrog players, they don't abuse light rush punch. They just don't abuse it.
I feel you. You do like jab and the flicker doesn't hit?
Yeah, jab and flicker doesn't hit at any range.
So you just jab?
It's not a punish. So standing jab is a punish. You either standing jab, or you take your turn. You take your full turn by walking up and pressing medium, or dashing up or something.
What about if you jab and then V-trigger? I probably shouldn't ask you these questions. Just move on. But I'm gonna ask V-trigger 1. Can you throw the V-trigger the faster one, and does it connect off of standing jab?
I don't think it will connect even at close range.
They're not even that good of answers, anyways. I'm just curious if there's any remote solution to it.
Thankfully, in this matchup, it's more of a straightforward footsies matchups, and Ed actually does really good in these type of matchups. Beside the fact that you have to deal with random EX rush punch and random EX low, Ed does have good neutral tools to fake the Balrog players in the straightforward neutral matchup with a charge punch, spark into fireball, fake spark, charge V skill. They do throw a lot of Balrog players off guard, but Balrog does have V skill punch to deal with a lot of the projectile options. But like I said, you have the charge punch. So they have to be on point whether you're doing the projectile or the V skill or the punch. So if they do V skill punch and you do the charge punch, you get a good punish. Or you just get a good hit. You get a good hit into a good combo. So you just have to use a lot of Ed's neutral tools to navigate the matchup in neutral. And as far as V-Trigger, I would say V-Trigger 1. Or actually, this is another matchup that you can choose which V-Trigger just based on how you feel, or based on how you want to approach the matchup, or based on how you think the player plays. Because V-Trigger 2 is actually another V-Trigger that you can choose to make the Balrog player use their V-Reversal, and you might not even have to deal with V-Trigger. So but V-Trigger 1 I use in this matchup just to control the neutral pace of the matchup. I might have to actually start using V-Trigger 2 on certain players, maybe like a Brian F style, the one that they're actually more aggressive and neutral.
Yeah, Smug has a defensive style to him. Most people don't see it.
Yes, he does.
I do recall playing a set with him when I was playing Urien at the time, and I can see when he switched to almost peekaboo stance where he was looking for my dashes and he was only looking to check me if I was going to dash at him. And sure enough, if I dashed at him, crouching jab, EX, I was like, okay. He's a really well-rounded player, by the way. So how would you score this matchup?
I do really, really good in this matchup, but I would have to give it to Balrog 5.5.
Not bad.
5.5.
So 4.5 as Ed's perspective.
Yes.
I can see that it could be difficult to get matchup experience versus this next character. About Juri, is there anything you have? You have any good, perspective on this?
Juri is a little troublesome for Ed. Actually, she's a little troublesome. Her walk speed is good. She has good whiff punishes with a down medium punch, staying fierce. Her jump-ins are really, really deceptive. Surprisingly, I don't know if it's a me thing or I don't know if it's the Juri thing, but sometimes it's hard to anti her sometimes for some reason. I don't know why.
Her dash is not like among the fastest in the game, but the animation of it is it's like deceiving. I mean, maybe it's an experience thing, but I feel like Juri dashing at me and throwing is more likely to work than other characters who have the same speed of dashing. So I agree. Her animations can be a little bit deceptive.
I don't know if people know this about Street Fighter V. Some characters dashes in Street Fighter V, but like let's say, for instance, like Nash, right? So like Nash has like let's say 17 frame dash. I think that's what it is really, but he doesn't actually start moving until like the 8th or 7th frame.
Yeah, that was a big problem in the first season where it was like missing startup animations. So it made it almost, I think by the numbers, it was impossible to react to.
Yes, and that's why dashing is so good in Street Fighter V. For anybody watching this right now, or anybody that might tune into the VOD later, dashing is really, really good in Street Fighter V because even though, like you say, like you fight a character like R.Mika or you play a character like R.Mika, their dash is maybe like 18 frames. Her dash doesn't actually visually, you don't see a visual cue on the dash until like the 6th or 7th frame. So you can't react to the dash.
Yeah, and she sways while she dashes. I don't know if they changed it or not, but R.Mika moves backwards and then she dashes at you. What?
Mm-hmm. So that's why dashing is really good in the game. But yeah, let's go to Juri. Juri, her approach is actually really, really good versus Ed. You have to kind of chase her down because you really don't like Juri. Like she might be kind of like deficient in certain areas, but you don't want to fight a charge Juri. Like you don't want to fight a Juri with all 3 stores in charge V skill. That's just something that, yeah, she might not be that good of a character. Like some people might not consider her that, but she's annoying. She's an annoying character to deal with when she has all charges.
Yep.
So you have to chase her down before she gets that. And you can't really do that. You can do it, but you have to be wary of the neutral too, because if the Juri players know you're trying to chase her down, then she can stop doing what she's doing and she can just challenge you in neutral and she can just stop your dashes. So you have to kind of play like this passive aggressive neutral game where you have to throw the fireball, but you can't sometimes because you have to worry about her jump or you have to worry about her flip kick, which goes over the fireball completely. This matchup is not fun for Ed. I don't have a lot of high-level experience in it, so I'm just going to give it a 5.5 until further notice. I have some experience in it, but it's not enough. This is actually a matchup where I can honestly say I don't know the matchup. I don't know the number.
Okay. Would you have said that 5.5 was for Juri or Ed? Because I'll just put a question mark by it.
I would say this matchup is even.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would say this matchup is even, or I don't know.
Okay. Do you? What about the V trigger? Still the same?
V trigger 2 for sure. V trigger 2 for sure. V trigger 1, she can just get past it. Like, all right, so this is V trigger 1, right? She can do flip kick, and the only way to really deal with it is neutral jump and punish her. But if you don't, the move is projectile invincible, and if she blocks it, she's safe. So she gets past your V trigger immediately. If you're doing something, you have to block it or you get hit, and it's fully projectile invincible. She gets a combo, and on block, it's safe.
You have to really close it. You have to put effort into making your V-Trigger useful, where you can just pick V-Trigger 2 and you have better options.
Exactly. But okay. V-Trigger 1 might have some uses in this scenario, but you have to use it in certain situations. It might be useful, though. I have to do more research. But right now, I would pick V-Trigger 2.
Urien. Speaking of EX invincible reversals that have some startup on them, but I don't think that's really what he's lacking. He has some other things going for him. But how do you feel like Ed stacks up against this character?
Urien? Are we talking about this guy right here? All right, so Urien, I'm going to just say off the bat, because I do have a good amount of experience in this matchup, it's the mid-level Uriens give me trouble.
I feel you on that.
And even the mid-level Uriens give me trouble.
Even the mid-level. So it's not one of those things like I do better against players who are like making intelligent decisions. Not to say one thing or the other, but like people who are really thinking about the things that are happening during the match. But the players who aren't really like totally oblivious to what you're thinking, those give you trouble. It's everybody across the board that gives you trouble. Is what you're saying?
Yes. The high ones, they give me trouble too. But the high level ones, they're more the way they think. Or like their player, like I guess that's the reason why they're considered high level Urien players is because they have more thoughts of their game plan. But Nemo, he's like a different breed. Like
he's a hybrid himself.
He's a high Urien player, but he thinks like a mid level Urien player.
Yep, I agree with that almost 100%.
So, but he knows it's not like what he's doing is random. He knows what he's doing. It's just his sporadic movements. Yeah, makes it seem like he's playing like a mid-level Urien.
Dash up, crouching, hard punch, and then like anti-airs. I don't think he's. Sometimes I think he's reacting to the jump, but sometimes I think he's ready to cancel into something if they block the crouching hard punch.
Urien is just hard for Ed, man. Like
calculated chaos. That's a good way to put it, Hajime. No gun.
Yes.
Calculated chaos.
Yeah. Calculated chaos. You can't since Ed's whole game plan is mostly a neutral game plan, you have to watch out for a lot of Urien's moves. So like EX shoulder tackle, EX shoulder tackles combined with random dash-ins combined with his fireball. So you have to like kind of make preemptive guesses on what you think he's gonna do. And Urien can kind of play a little flow chart in this matchup. What I mean by flow chart is like he has like a flow of moves that he can do that you can't kind of have a solid answer for.
There's too many. It's like you're bullfighting, but there's like 3 or 4 bulls you gotta dance around. It's like tap dancing, laser beams.
Yeah, that's what it's like. That's an accurate description. It's like I played a Urien online one time that made me stop playing and made me want to take a break. I forgot his name, but he did light knees, which was plus. Then he did something. EX shoulder tackle. This is season 2. EX shoulder tackle, the one that on block, it left you like a distance that you couldn't really challenge like that. You couldn't really take your turn back. I mean, you could take your turn back, but you didn't really get anything significant. You had to like walk up and do something.
The old -2.
Something. EX shoulder tackle, back dash, and in the back dash, he got enough charge to do EX knees. I was like, okay, so EX knees came out. I got hit. Then he did dash up, standing medium punch, crouching medium punch, EX fireball. Knees again. I'm like, come on, like when is this gonna stop right now? When is this gonna stop? Like he's literally doing move after move after move after move after move. Like, come on, like like for real. So no, that's and I don't think it's a me thing. I think I've developed enough skill and enough Street Fighter V skill set to be able to deal with like random movements, but it's just at a point where sometimes it does get too much to deal with at times, especially when you're focused on a lot of things.
Yeah.
So, and because Ed does have EX cycle upper to kind of stop that, but it's so risky. Like,
absolutely,
if they don't like, sometimes they could do EX knees and then go past you, and then if you do EX cycle upper, you whiff, and then he gets a crush counter punish. So like, if they're smart at the same time, they're doing like the flowchart movement, and if they're smart at the same time, like you don't know what type of Urien player they are until you're playing them. So
yeah,
it's kind of deceptive at times.
Yeah, I don't like how this game. It's almost like a built-in quote unquote feature. It's almost as if the art of deception, it gives you the abilities to deceive your opponent without actually connecting with their mind. And that's not to say that it doesn't exist. The ability to read your opponent is absolutely in the game, but it's almost like the game enhances your like a default player's ability to bypass a lot of ideas. Whereas, I felt like you are a defensive player. You're really good at paying attention and understanding what's happening on the screen. But there's so many potential things that can happen when you combine variable input delay. When you combine the way knockdowns work in this game, it's almost like it gives many players an in. So it's a little bit troublesome for me, but I think that's that's how it is. You gotta hold that.
That's accurate. That's accurate. Definitely.
So what do you feel like this matchup? If you had to put a number on it,
if I had to put a number on this matchup, I would have to say, honestly, I would have to say 6-4 Urien.
Damn, 4 points for Ed.
6-4.
Any V-Trigger recommendations?
V-Trigger, this is another one where you can choose which one you wanna pick depending on how you think the Urien player wants to play it. Because even though V-Trigger 1 can get reflected by Aegis, yours is a 2-bar and Aegis is a 3-bar, so you can use yours before he gets his. And then if he uses Aegis, you can possibly get another one after he uses Aegis.
I'm curious how V-Skill interacts with Mirror. I don't quite know that. What happens if you V-Skill the Mirror?
The Mirror reflects your V-Skill and you get stuck.
Get out of here. What?
Yeah.
What? Do you pull yourself into the mirror?
No, it just reflects you and the way the V-Skill stuns the opponent, like the way it stuns your opponent on hit, it stuns you. I forgot if you take damage or not, but it definitely stuns you.
He's definitely getting a jump
like
in. He's about to get a hard punch, a fierce punching jump in.
Oh yeah.
Use that secondary mirror he's got in his back pocket, or in his, I don't know where he's going to store it, but, well, Urien. Okay. Up next, we got everyone's favorite, the old dandelion lion himself. We got a new fresh.
Lion King. The Lion King.
The Circle of Life, a.k.a. Demon Flip.
Buttery at the top of the mountain, like the lion.
At the top of the key, top rope.
That's Simba. That's old Simba.
Old Simba? Like, we got old Sagat, we got old Simba. A.K.A. Akuma. Goki.
This character.
A.K.A. Too Many Tools.
Where do I start?
Let's start the other way around. Let's get the number first, and then what you think about it.
All right, Akuma. I have a lot of experience in this matchup, and I'm still gonna say it's 6-4 in Akuma's favor.
Oh, that ain't Guile.
It's luckily it's not that. But all right, so reason number one, Down Fierce is too good. Down Fierce is, I forgot how many active frames. I think it's like 5 or something like that.
4. It's 4.
4? Okay, I was close. Okay, so it's 4 frames active. And since Ed's game plan is neutral, you do tend to get crush counted a lot. And we all know Akuma gets a Down Fierce and you go in the corner. That is it. You play the matchup in the corner.
He's R.Mika, we're saying?
Yeah.
He gets a Down Fierce, you're in the corner.
Down Fierce corner.
Let's talk about these stats really briefly. Down Fierce is 10 start up, which is not there's nothing like crazy. 4 active. 16 recovery. It looks like it has 20 if it whiffs. It has increased recovery frames. So that puts it at total animation of, 13 plus 20, 33 total animation frames. That's not that bad. But if you look at the hitboxes and the hurt boxes and the risk reward ratio, and it's +3 on block.
Come on, man. Something got to give out here, man. We out here playing footsies with buttons. Come on, guys. Come on, man.
And when you try to whiff punish and you weren't looking for it and you weren't specifically targeting it, you're like, oh, I just saw a hard punch. Maybe I can whiff punish that. And then he does standing hard punch, crunch. You're getting crunch scouted.
Come on, man.
You trying to whiff punish?
Come on, man.
Was you trying to whiff punish me?
Come on, man.
You're in the corner.
So we got crouching fierce with standing medium kick. I'm not saying this man don't have to have a good neutral game, man, but come on, man.
I'm not trying to take away from you. I'm just making some observations here.
That's it. Come on, man. All right, so he gets you in the corner, man, and he got a pseudo throw loop too. He got walk up grab.
Why does he have to place you first? His throw places you, and then he puts the lower body momentum into a palm.
Oh my goodness.
Why does it gotta look like that?
I mean, he can keep the savagery. He can keep that. But then he can walk up forward fear. So if you think he's gonna throw you, he got that. It's safe on block. It used to be plus. It used to be +1. It used to be what Chun-Li's air legs was, but a simple input. It used to be that.
I never thought about that.
Thank goodness it's minus.
Yeah,
So we got that, right?
Of course, they had to buff it as well. We can't nerf it without buffing it. If it hits, let them get a medium kick.
Oh, of course. Oh, of course. If we got to take something, it's Akuma. We got to give him something back. So we got combos on hit, right? So all right. So that's just basic. That's we're not even talking about his fireball. Let's just go right into the nitty gritty cheat. So we got all right. We got EX Demon Flip. We got this move, this son of a bitch move right here, EX Demon Flip. Better. We talking about a special move, EX move that's better than whole V triggers. That's what we talking about. Right now. That's what we talking about right now. We got EX Demon Flip Palm that even if you know he's gonna do it, you can't do nothing about it. You can't do nothing about it, even if you know it's coming.
Talking about Ed?
So not only you got EX Demon Flip Palm. All right. So you know what? I'm a fair guy, right? And since I'm so fair, I'm not even complaining about the move like that. All I'm saying is EX Demon Flip Palm comes out too fast. That's all I'm saying. He can have everything else. He can have the slide, he can have the grab, he can have the dive kick. That part of the move comes out too fast. It comes out too fast. That's it. That's my only complaint about EX Demon Flip. He can have the control. He can have all of that.
It's the way that all the options interact with each other.
Yeah.
So the palm, you can't block it low, so it makes you stand up, and then he can grab you if you're standing up. And then the low option, if we're talking about EX Demon Flip, it's got advantage on block. So if you are carefully blocking high, then blocking low, or you're cognizant of the throw potential, and then you block the low, you still got frame advantage. And what else? He's got the dive kick option that delays it. So potentially, if you anti-air, your anti-air whips, and then he gets the dive kick. And there's some other things you can do with that as well. The Demon Flip, I predicted very early on would be a move that people would complain about in the not-so-distant future, which is now. And it's only one thing of many that he has. Like, his tool set is so ridiculous. Yeah, it's a really cool character.
That's the thing. Like, he has so many tools that EX Demon Flip is like, sometimes it's the last option you're even looking for, and then he has options in that. And we're not even talking about B trigger. I'm not even talking about B trigger. After he done crush counted fierce you, put you in the corner, made you have the throw loop, played a regular whole ass game plan on you without V trigger, has V trigger with the icing on the cake on top of it. You know, it's gotten to the point where I play Akuma players in tournament, and if I'm doing a combo that's gonna give them V trigger, I stop the combo.
Oh my gosh.
That's how bad it's gotten. I don't do a combo into V trigger.
You don't even do the combos that you can't do, like the cycle upper off of the crouching medium punch. You drop it on purpose this time instead of it dropping itself?
I drop it on purpose. I don't want Akuma players coming back on me like that.
You don't want that plus 35 uppercut, bro? You don't want that plus 35 hard knockdown?
Hell no, I don't want that. I don't want that in a tournament. I don't want that in tournament. If I fight an Akuma player in tournament and I drop combos, you know why. And that's actually a smart decision.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's one thing that is a little bit underrated in Street Fighter V is balancing their V-trigger bar and understanding what's going to give you V-trigger. So if you, like for example, you knock somebody down, and then if they did an EXDP, it would give you V-trigger, I'm okay with it. I'm going to pressure. If they hit me with the EXDP, I get V-trigger.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So I see your point.
Exactly. So yeah. So I don't even finish the combo on Akuma plays. That's how bad it's gotten out here, out in these streets. So Akuma, and I pick V Trigger 2 because V Trigger 1 is another useless V Trigger in this matchup. All you got to do is EX Demon Flip. V Trigger.
Is that Wait, is that really projectile invincible? I actually don't know this. No trolling aside, I don't know if.
Yeah, it's projectile invincible.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you used to be able to option select it with a throw, so he'll break a throw if you Yeah.
Yep. So I pick V Trigger 2 because at least you give Akuma a guessing game on your offense. It's not guaranteed because you have to guess too, so he might do like EX uppercut or something. But at least you if you manage to make them block it, you get in their face, and you put yourself in an advantageous guessing game because you're +2. So at least you get that. So that's why V-Trigger gets to win that matchup. And yeah, that is Akuma. I hate this character because of his comeback factor, and he does give Ed a lot of trouble. But Ed, surprisingly, without V-Trigger, does have some solid tools in the matchup, but it doesn't matter because he can come back on you like that. Like how Thanos snaps his hands, he can come back on you like that.
It's not that bad, I guess. It's no Guile.
No.
Close. So far, the top 5, right, are Akuma, Guile, Ibuki, Cammy, and Menat. We haven't gotten to Menat yet.
Not yet.
But of those characters, they're unfavorable to Ed.
Yes.
With
all
Guile being
of them, and Menat too. She's unfavorable too, but we didn't get to her yet. So
let's try to get through this. We're at the home stretch. Kolin.
Okay.
Let's get it. What do you think about this character?
Kolin. It's tricky. I did manage to beat Momochi, but I would have to say that I played better Kolins in the matchup.
Whoa.
Namely Neon and Nephew.
Whoa, okay. They are better than Momochi?
Yes, they are better in this match. I don't see, like, Momochi's he's a godlike player. I'm not taking anything away from him, but they are better Kolin players.
Absolutely.
They know more setups. They are more seasoned.
Oh.
They're second nature.
Whoa.
They're Zen level with that character. So I ended up, because of them, because of playing them online, I ended up, beating Momochi. Momochi is so godlike that without knowing setups, he managed to bring the matchup that close when I played him at a combo break.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's how godlike he is. So even without having setups and the whole 9. So, but on the ground, this matchup is kind of tricky because she has good normals, just like you. She has a V skill that she can sometimes throw out and predict your normals. She can change her jump trajectory with the down medium kick. Her setups are reversal proof. So if she gets a good setup and they know the setups, you cannot ever reversal on her, ever.
Mm-hmm.
So that you literally throw cycle up out the window in this matchup. You throw it out the window. There are some character specific things. There are some matchup specific things. Like if she does I forgot the setup, but she does like an ice setup or whatever, you can't actually reversal, or you can't actually do a button into reversal to counter it, because there's like a hit stop gap that when you go for the hit and the ice comes down, you can't reversal in time, so the reversal won't even come out. But you can do down fierce. If you do down fierce, it gives enough hit stun for you. Even though it's going to.
What is the scenario? Is this like a hailstorm is in the air, but is it a block string or is it a knockdown setup?
It's an EX hailstorm. It's an EX hailstorm setup. So if they do standing medium punch EX hailstorm on block, because Kolin players, they just like to do it sometimes because it just gets a lot of stuff started for them.
I'm assuming this is like in the far away, not up close medium punch.
Either or, it doesn't matter.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
And not V-trigger, not the V-trigger hailstorm. Just regular hailstorm.
Yes, and not the V-trigger one, the regular one.
Okay,
yes.
so probably either.
I didn't even touch the V-trigger one.
Okay.
So if they do that, you can just do down fierce. If their down fierce gives you enough hit stun to get out of the scenario, even though you get traded too, you get to reset neutral, and they just wasted the EX and you didn't waste anything. You just took like 60 damage. So that's just a little matchup tidbit out there for you guys having trouble with in the Kolin matchup. That's down fierce when they do standing medium punch EX hailstorm. That's it.
So what do you think about this? The numbers.
Matchup,
by the numbers.
The numbers, I would have to put slightly in Kolin's favor, 5.5, because her comeback factor is so ridiculous, and you just can't reversal in this matchup. It's just impossible.
I actually have not played the character with V-Trigger 2 yet. I mean, I did some experimenting in the Laboratorio, but I haven't played her. But that seems to be a really big buff to her, the amount of options that the new, like, it's so many things that V-Trigger 2. It's buffed Hailstorm, new dash, the ability to stop the dash, a new attack, bigger, I think I said this already, but bigger Hailstorms. Like, it's a lot of things. I'm sure I'm missing something too. But it's empty activation.
Yep, empty activation, and to see what the opponent does and to counterattack. She has a lot of stuff, a lot of little tidbits, but thank goodness she's not season 3. Thank the Lord.
Oh, the way she came out the gate, man, that's pretty ridiculous.
that broken V trigger. Oh my goodness, she was definitely top 4 in the game.
Crazy. What V trigger would you recommend?
This is a tricky one because she has tools to deal with either one.
Wow.
She can V reversal either one. She can V reversal V trigger 1 setups, and she can V reversal V trigger 2 setups. I would have to say V trigger 2 because it's incredibly easy for her to get around V trigger 1. Incredibly easy.
And that's just the V reversal. Oh, she could bypass projectiles with the V trigger mechanic, can't she?
Yeah,
that's kind of ridiculous.
She can bypass it with the V trigger mechanic and EX. I forgot the name of the move. The move where she dashes back and then slides towards you.
Vanity step.
Vanity step. She can do the heavy version, the airborne version, to just get past the complete.
Right. So yeah, I feel like the V trigger one would be unsafe, and if you were waiting for it, you can just punish it probably.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is unsafe if I remember correctly. But it's still the more than one answers that are good. The EX Vanity Step sounds pretty good. But I mean, I'm sure you can like find some ways around it. But again, it goes back to V Trigger 2 probably has better utility.
Yep. Yes, it does.
All right, so the mirror match, I'm assuming is going to go 5-5. But is there anything you want to point out with it?
Nah, the mirror match is 7-3. It's 7-3.
Definitely the worst matchup. Ed is not bottom 27 when he's against himself, apparently.
All right, so this matchup is kind of tricky. Ed is primarily a neutral based character, but there's actually instances where you can sneak yourself. You can like sneak trick the matchup a little bit and like dash in, and I think trying to be the aggressor in this matchup benefits more than trying to play neutral, because just playing another Ed player, they know the neutral tool, so they're more prone to having to like dodge the V skill and neutral jump in the V skill. So it's just better to try to be the aggressor and try to go in, because plus frames are plus frames, and you have to, at the end of the day, you have to block things at a plus, or you have to backdash. And the quicker you get the opponent, the mirror match in the corner, the better, because the only way to get out is V reversal or like sneak or jumping out. And if they V reversal, they can't V trigger. So you want to put the Ed player in a disadvantaged situation as possible and not make it close.
It almost reminds me of Dhalsim Mirror, where it's just so goofy looking. You're gonna have people like switching sides, V reversaling, trying to play neutral, getting some jumps in, trying to play footsies with the buttons. I don't know how I would like visually call that match, or what it looks like, or what either player is looking for.
I saw a mirror match with Commander Jesse and Danka Diaz at the Geico tournament on Tuesday, the online tournament, and they were just going in on each other. They were just going ham hocks.
Yep. They're trying to get through it, man. I feel like that match could take forever, or the way they played it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just about being the aggressor. I normally pick V Trigger 1, not V Trigger 2, because I just feel like you get more opportunities to assert yourself, to just create your mix-ups and just get your offense going with V Trigger 1. I just feel like you get more opportunities for that. But personally, I pick V Trigger 1. I don't even pick V Trigger 2. It might be good. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah,
I feel like in those slower matchups, you could potentially get 2 activations off if you have more time allotted to you and you can calculate it.
Yeah, and especially like if you are measuring how you're taking damage, you can most guaranteed get 2 V triggers per game in a lot of matchups. So yeah, I would pick V Trigger 1.
All right, up next, Abigail.
Some people hate this character, but I don't.
You know what immediately comes to mind is Giant Flip, crush countering it with crouching hard punch. Is that a thing?
Oh yeah, most certainly.
All right.
Definitely.
That is a huge. I think that's a really big deal. I mean, Abigail players shouldn't throw it out there like wild, but it's definitely a thing to throw out there and have some kind of advantage. But if you have a direct answer for it, that's really good. Like I think about Zeku's crouching hard punch. If you can get a crush counter on it, I think it's a really solid answer. More than just solid, it's a great answer.
Yeah. This matchup was actually bad in Season 3 for Ed, in my opinion, because Ed got a lot of little changes and Abigail got nerfed. So now I think this matchup is actually 6-4 in Ed's favor. This matchup is one of the easiest ones for Ed. Being because you can just control the neutral pace so good, the fireball, The V skill breaks all his armor stuff. He can't if he's in V trigger, he can't really unblockable you reliably if you have EX because EX cycle upper is not only 2 hits, but it's fully invincible.
And there's no input attached to it. Sometimes it's hard to like reversal super Abigail if he's charging up a hard punch because you have to like you gotta input the down forward. But EX cycle upper, you can block while you're doing that.
Oh yeah. I got mine mapped to 1 button, boy. 1 button, boy.
I want to be clear. I was reading chat, but you said this was 6-4 in Ed's favor.
Yeah, I think it's 6-4 in Ed's favor. Yes.
And
because V skill just deals a lot with his armor normals, armor in general. Like his V skill, I think his V skill counters it, but it's hard for Abigail to just get around a lot of Ed's neutral stuff. So. He's just so big. He can't ever jump because Psycho Rising just beats his jumps clean. He has character specific combos on Abigail that takes a lot of damage. Oh, and it gives you a lot of V meter too.
So is that gonna be V meter 1 or 2? I feel like both of them have some utility.
I think yeah. This is another matchup where actually you can choose which one you want.
Which one do you do you go with?
I go with V trigger 2 because only because if he's in V trigger 1, he can reflect your fireball with the back hard punch.
Of course. Anything else?
I just picked V trigger 2 just because.
Any other thing?
This matchup is easy peasy, and you should definitely play Ed in this matchup.
All right. Yeah, because I don't know a direct solution for his V trigger 2 charge thing. I don't really know what to do with like Cody. I think I just got to 4-jump over it or something. But with Ed, if he's close enough, it's like a clear answer, right? They do either the armor break move or psycho upper.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Word. All right. The last of the non-bottom 27. Menat.
Here we go.
We got some no hitbox having drill kick spamming when she's got 6 orbs around her. She got what's that? I don't even know. It's like you got 2. And there's one thing that I want to talk about for Menat players very briefly is I don't see any Menat players using the light kick V trigger orb to anti-air with. Like I think that's a really strong anti-air. But no hitbox having slide into advantage.
Psychic teacher having Nash.
Profits and like spend fight money for no reason for survival mode. Justin Wong doing amazing with hard punch.
1 button pressing Avanas.
So what do you think? Let's do it again like with Akuma. Like what do you think the matchup is first, and then we'll talk about. Or we'll see what you think about it.
All right. So this matchup is hard because you have to chase her. So, oh man. Actually, where do I start? Like her standing fears outranges all of your normals as it does in most matchups for her. She can anti-air you cleanly. But you do have to try to jump. Sometimes you have to try to jump.
It's crazy.
Your V skill outranges her standing fierce, but it's a charge and it's telegraphed. But like I said, again, this is an S specific thing. If you're using the charge V skill a lot, and they know that, because they're reacting to the charge V skill most of the time, you can just do the tap V skill. And you have to choose which one on a whim that you can't react to both at the same time. So if you do the tap V skill and if they move, then they get snatched in. You get a free hit. So you have to try to like mix your V skills up, but she can do like jump and then the drill kick and then dodge it. But like it's still something that they have to worry about, like it's not something that it's like, oh, well, he does snatch. Well, I have an answer for both of them. They have to worry about which option they want to do to counter which one of your options that you want to do.
I have a question for you in regards to Ryu. We felt like you cannot jump at him, but against Menat, you feel like you need to jump at her. What's the difference?
The difference is that Menat's game plan is trying to keep you on the ground. That's the difference. The Menat players, yeah, like, all right, so first of all, DP does more damage. Dragon Punch does more damage than Down Fierce. She does have instances where she can get like a crush counter into an anti-fire into a combo, which is it's kind of rare. It's not really rare, but her game plan is keeping you on the ground. That's what she wants to do. So since she wants to do that, you can kind of jump in on her. Ryu's game plan is not really keeping you on the ground, it's controlling you on the ground. But since his control is so good, he's kind of like his game plan is designed to make you jump. Her game plan is not designed to make you jump. That's the difference between Ryu and Menat.
I don't know, man. It seems like it's the same thing. I know where you're coming from, but I don't know.
You have to jump, but her game plan is so good. How should I like? I'm trying to describe it. Ryu's game plan is a classic game plan. It's like a classic game plan. So they're ready for you to jump. Menat players are ready for you to jump too, but her game plan is so good on the ground that I don't know. I feel like
Ryu has fireball. And that's about it. Menat has medium punch, standing, hard punch, and that's it's almost the same thing. But I don't know, man. It's such a weird. It's confusing to me too. I don't know what's different about it.
Ryu's fireball outranges anything Menat has. That's that. All right. So maybe that's
I feel you on that.
Ryu's fireball, if you're at mid range, is something you have to deal with. Menat's fireball, Menat's standing fierce and standing medium punch, if you're at mid range, is not something you have to deal with because it doesn't travel that far. So
it's like the expiration. The standing hard punch doesn't travel full screen, or the medium punch. Yeah. But I don't know.
She does have orb. She does have orb, but when she doesn't have orb, they don't want to throw it out. Like Justin doesn't want to throw the orb out because she's at a disadvantage. It's good in some matchups. It's good in a lot of matchups to throw it out. Maybe that's the reason why Justin doesn't triumph in certain matchups. But like in the Ed matchup, you have to throw the orb. That's another thing. In the Ed matchup, if you don't throw the orb, in my opinion, you lose the matchup. That's Menat. The orb control, that orb toss is the reason why she wins the matchup, in my opinion. It's risky to do, but it's the reason why she wins the matchup.
Because it'll help generate. It would help generate some offense because not only is it a projectile, but when you call it back, it becomes a projectile that sucks you in as well. So she can get some offense generated. Oh yeah. Of course, Kraymore plays Menat, so you definitely have a lot of experience in this matchup.
Yeah, I would love to play a Menat that holds on to the orb all day. I would love that. Please hold on to the orb so you never in range to attack me ever. You know what I mean?
I feel you. Did we get a number for this? I mean, I'm sure it's going to be in Menat's favor, but is it a 6? Is it a 5?
Oh yeah, it's 6-4 if it's 6-4 if they toss the orb, and it's even if they don't.
Damn.
Yeah. It's only even because she has a 2-bar V trigger.
You know, I think
as a matter of fact,
it's so crazy how medium punch on counter hit used to give you bar.
Yeah.
And it's a 2-bar V. It's always been 2 bars, right? It's never been 3. I'm not making that up, right?
It's always been 2.
Always been 2.
Yep.
It's almost like they accidentally, quote unquote, accidentally was like, let's just put this in there and give Menat players a little bit. You know, this character's pretty good. Just try it. You know, accidents happen. Medium punch gives you V bar. But now that people have come close to mastery of the orb mechanics, it's almost like, yo, make that 3 bars, please. Why is that 2? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's 6-4 in Menat's favor. Over in the grand scheme of things, it's 6-4 because her V trigger is just really, really good. You can V reversal it, but then that means that you have to wait longer to get your V trigger. And I would definitely play V trigger 2 in this matchup because V trigger 1 is definitely a case of it just doesn't exist.
Does she reflects it?
No, she can't reflect it, but she has a lot of tools to deal with it. A lot. Her whole moveset deals with V trigger 1. Her whole moveset.
Well, all right. Okay, so Zeku, I know you have Sanford Kelly. There's ROBS, I think his name is. I'm sure you've ran into a few online, and maybe there's some more that I'm not thinking about. But, I mean, I have some experience with Zeku. I think this match is even, in my opinion. And it's not about me, but, you know, what do you think?
Okay, so I think this matchup, it's tricky because me and Sanford, I would have to say when Sanford was really, really active with Zeku, he would edge out a few more wins than me. but maybe it's because of my inexperience in the matchup at the time. But I would have to say slightly in Zeku's favor, this matchup. I would have to say slightly in Zeku's favor because since this is a neutral matchup, and I feel like Zeku as a character has a complete package to deal with Ed's gameplay. That's what I feel like when I play the matchup. I feel like there's no comfort zone for Ed. I feel like I feel like young Zeku does really, really good versus Ed too. I feel like Ed, if Ed has to play a catch-up game, it's hard for him to get a game plan going or for him to even make a comeback, even if he has V-Trigger 2 or V-Trigger 1. That's probably the main reason why I think Zeku slightly wins the matchup, because if Ed is down, it's hard for him to come back.
Okay.
That's the only reason. I feel like it's even otherwise.
What V-Trigger do you play? I feel like it's gonna be 2.
Yeah, V-Trigger 2. Because V-Trigger 1, if you're in young and you jump off the wall, there's no V-Trigger. There's literally no V-Trigger if you jump off the wall.
So you said 4.5 for this, and 4.5 favor of Zeku?
Yes, 4.5 for Ed in favor of Zeku. Yes, in favor of Zeku.
I feel that.
Yes.
Yeah, Zeku definitely has a lot of... It's almost like the character is a jack of all trades almost. And he does have some, like, people describe, like, robbery in this game as a really important stat. He has it. And I remember Big Bird tweeted about this recently, about how he does have robbery. But I would describe it a little bit differently. Like, it's conditional. You need a lot of things to kind of line up. And then if you get if you get a good hit on the V-Trigger and you have super available, yeah, that's robbery. It's going to be like 50% damage, right?
Yeah, if you get like a crush out or something, right?
Yep. But then the conditions are you got to have that bar and you got to find the right hit with the V-Trigger. Whereas some V-Trigger mechanics, you just do it anyways, and if it's good, you got frame advantage. Like a Cammy dive kick. But, I think Zeku, just from on the side, Zeku is a really strong character. Is he pushing top 5? I don't know about all that.
Nope.
But I think he's way better than people know. He's gotten better, and people are getting better with him. You agree with... Yeah, he's a fine character. He's totally fine. I think he's really well balanced, and there's not a lot of characters that are like challenging for him. Of course, Guile, but Guile is everybody. Gives everybody. Akuma is it's the same thing. All right, so now we got to move on to these season 3 characters. This might be a little bit less, of course, less experienced because they're new, but apparently they suck. Sakura, what do you think of
Sakura?
What do you think about Sakura?
Sakura.
I don't know.
Sakura.
Maybe you can educate me if there's any players up there.
All right, so I actually have quite a fair bit of experience with fighting against Sakura, just fighting online rank matches and stuff like that. And I will have to say Sakura's favor, 5.5.
Yeah, 5.5. Okay.
Because her ground game is just better. Because her back walk speed is better, so she can whip punish better. Even though her fireball is not good, it's one of the weaker fireballs in the game. It's still a fireball.
Yeah. It's got some potential behind it.
You can't. And what I mean by it's still a fireball is, you cannot. When she does fireball, you can't jump and get a punish. You have to still predict that she's going to do a fireball to get a punish. You know what I mean? Like, so it's still a fireball in that sense.
Down heavy punch, great. As far as I know, it's a great anti-air. There's probably some angles that it's not so great, but she definitely has an easy access down heavy punch. Lots of active frames, decent speed.
Yep,
crouching normal.
Her jump-ins are really good sometimes. Like, if you're focusing on the ground a lot, and she jumps in, you can't be late on your anti-airs or you get hit. Her EX Fireball is just really good. It forces you to use your EX Fireball, and since it does that, since it forces you to use your EX Fireball, you never have critical art. And what I mean by that is that she tosses out EX Fireball. The only way to really deal with it is you're either gonna use your EX Fireball to nullify it, or you're gonna block it.
You gotta block, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's something you just have to deal with since it's so fast. Her EX Fireball is actually a good fireball. Her regular fireball is a bad fireball.
What about her standing light kick? I think her standing light kick is borderline absurd. I'm not trying to say like some shock value or whatever, but her standing light kick is quite good. At 4 frames, the speed, buffering it into, I believe, medium punch DP. I think it's really, really good, but you don't really hear too much about it. How does that play a role in the matchup?
Yeah, her standing light kick in this matchup, you cannot ever do standing hard kick, ever, at any range.
They nerfed it? They nerfed her standing light kick? I'm hearing from the chat.
No. Oh, no, they didn't nerf. I don't know if they nerfed it. If the chat is saying something different, but it's still good. In this matchup, you can't standing hard kick at all. You cannot use this button.
Oh, not standing hard kick, but the light kick from Sakura. Wait, are you talking about? Oh, you're talking about Ed's standing hard kick. Yeah.
Yeah. It's Ed's standing hard kick you can't use in this matchup.
Okay. Easily with punishment.
It is easily on block. Standing light kick on block from any range.
Okay, so they're saying they're saying the standing light kick is 1 less active frame and the hurt box lasts slightly longer, so it's easier to whiff punish that button. So you can probably like crush counter it kind of thing, or maybe it's not as obnoxious because I feel like it was super strong, and I mean I'm sure it's still good if it still maintains the same amount of range, and it's still 4 frames. That's really what's the important part there is the startup in that particular like as a whiff punishing tool.
They just changed it from godlike to fair. That's basically what they did. They normalized the button.
I would say pretty good, but yeah. I feel you.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's a little more than fair. It's pretty good. But yeah, you can't ever use standing hard kick. For this matchup, I would have to like I said, 5.5 for Sakura, and I would definitely use V-Trigger 2. Because believe it or not, all Sakura has to do to get past V-Trigger 1 is hard kick Tatsu. That's all she has to do.
Serious?
Yeah.
You can't.
She just hard kick Tatsu, and you can't do nothing about it.
Oh, it's got a lot of hits to it, so it's gonna keep you like, if it's invincible the whole way, is it? If she's hitting you with the kicking part of it, I don't think it's gonna be invincible there. So I'm thinking, like, if you're, like, crouching or, like, standing on top of your projectile, and then she does a hard kick Tatsu, I think her invincibility will expire by that time. But point taken, absolutely. But I think it's not, like, a free thing she can do, is what I think.
No, it's not free. It's just something you have to deal with. You have to deal with the fact that she might do this. She might jump and do Tatsu. She might, like, she just has more options. But she deals with the V-Trigger 1 very, very well. Her moveset deals with it very well.
So it seems like another case of V-Trigger 2's utility is just higher.
It's just higher. Not much, but it's better than just playing V-Trigger 1. It's definitely better.
All right. Anything else about Sakura? We got 3 more characters to move on. And then we got it. We did it. Took us 3 hours. I got to figure this out. But that's all good, man. I think it's really... We need these kinds of healthy discussions in the FGC more often.
Yeah,
and I once again, thank you very much for joining.
Oh, no, my pleasure. I had a little bit of time on my hands today, but I got a lot to do later. But right now I'm free as a bird. Like I told you, I'm an early bird, so
6 a.m. sharp. This man probably makes his bed and puts a quarter on it.
Yeah, I sure do. I sure do. Drink my tea, drink my herbal tea. Go out, do some exercise, come back, go in the lab, read some books. I try to do a lot of with my time as I can, man. That's all I do, you know. I'm 32 now, not 24, so.
I feel you that.
Yeah.
I'm about to turn 31 pretty soon. But we got 3 more characters that suck from season 3, and Blanka is the next one. And I imagine the further and further we get down the list of newer characters, the less experience you probably have against them. But, let's see. I'd like to see where you're at about Blanka.
Right now, where I'm at with Blanka is I definitely think this matchup is in Blanka's favor.
Okay.
I don't know by how much. I don't have the numbers on it. But I did play Wolfgang at the Chinatown Beatdown tournament, which happened 2 weeks ago. And he beat me pretty soundly, actually. He was knowledgeable with his characters. He had good setups. And I feel like I could have played the matchup better, but off the jump, like me being a good Ed player and him being a good Blanka player, he beat me soundly. So
okay, that's interesting because it's like two dynamics to the argument where it always changes. Like new characters, they always are not good when they come out because people don't know what they're doing with them. And then when somebody starts to know what they're doing with them, and it's like, well, I don't know the matchup. It's like, well, I thought they sucked. Well, I don't know the matchup now. Let me figure it out. But they don't necessarily know the matchup either. They're still learning it.
Exactly.
So there's still like it needs time to develop. It's such a you just wait. I know we're in a society where things are becoming increasingly more available quickly. Like you go on Twitter, you find out what people think. You go on YouTube, you can just search for anything. Boom! It's like everything is so condensed and quick to and easy to access. And the games are getting like that too. But I would suggest like these things take time to develop. And this game is a simple game. It's not the most complicated fighting game out there. But still takes a while.
On its base levels, on its base level, this game is very simplistic. So you have to like really make it when you go in the lab. You have to really make it more about finding out what the character is good at doing.
For sure.
If that makes any sense.
No, absolutely does. Somebody asked, can Ed cycle rising Blanka balls on block? I don't think so.
On block?
Yeah, cycle rising is it's gonna be too far.
No way.
We'll probably if you're down, Kev, we can do questions at the end of this. But it's been almost a 3-hour podcast, so I don't blame you.
Oh no, like if you're down, I'm down.
Okay,
but I'm probably down. I could probably be down for like maybe like 6 or 7 questions or something like that.
All right, we just got 2 more characters. Blanka, you said was 5.5 in his favor, or is it?
It's a 5.5. I do feel like this is a matchup where you can probably pick your V trigger.
Okay.
Maybe V trigger 2 might be the better one, but I do feel like you can pick your V trigger depending on how the Blanka player approaches the matchup.
Yeah, I don't know if Blanka ball is invincible to V triggers or a projectile invincible. I mean, I actually don't know that.
I think Rainbow Roll is though.
Yeah, because that seemed like a recurring theme in the decision for 1 or 2 is do they have a direct effective answer against it, and I think Blanka does with Rainbow Ball.
I'm gonna keep it real. I do pick V trigger 1 in some matchups that characters have solid ways around it. But if they do, then you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. To be honest, like if you're fighting a character that can just get past your V trigger 1, then you have no factor. Like you have no factor.
Yeah, and
you know what
I mean, it's been said many times the game doesn't begin until V trigger gets started, and if you don't have that as a tool, then I can see why you just go to the thing. Even like V trigger 2, it feels inconvenient to me sometimes. Like 3-bar activations can get you into trouble, and for some reason with Ed, I feel as if when he's that low in the match, because maybe it's because of his reversal, but it's hard for him to get that activation. So maybe I don't know.
Yeah. V trigger 2 is what I pick in this matchup because you can enforce your will if you get the first one started, or you can just freeze activation and then counter attack. Like that's something that's really really good to have.
Cool.
So. Yeah, but overall, yep, I would probably say this is like a 5.5 for Blanka. Maybe I could be wrong. It could change down the line, but right now it's either 5.5 or it just comes down to me not knowing the matchup that well. That's all.
Copy that. Yeah, Blanka is definitely good. He's moving on. Falke.
He's good. Yeah, no, he's good to me for sure. He's definitely good to me.
Next character is one that I feel is good, but was not quite something that I didn't have enough enjoyment out of it. But I did think that you might with Falke, but maybe you have like your hands tied with Ed, or maybe maybe it's not for you. But I do think Falke is good, but she's a bit on the boring side, in my opinion.
All right. So when it comes to Falke, for me with Falke, right now where I'm at with Falke right now is she has a cool moveset, but she's at a place right now where I'm like, is there a point to playing this character? Like,
oh no.
Like, what does she have that another character in the game can't do or do better? That's where I'm at with Falke right now. Like, I'm not saying, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying she's not good. I'm just saying, is there a point to investing that much time in her right now?
So, in Third Strike, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, I play Hugo. That's the character I've had the most time with for years. Hugo is not a top tier character, but I love playing him. It's so much fun to me to play that character. I like playing against Chun-Li, mid-level Chun-Li, Japanese trained Chun-Li. I like playing against them with Hugo. It's a fun experience for me. And Hugo, his tool set isn't exactly diverse, not robust, not wide. It's just, I mean, there's some like execution things that are really sick to do. But I love playing that character, and he's not that great. Falke is probably in the same boat, like, but she's probably better in the game that she's in compared to Hugo. But the game is limited, and she's a limited character in my opinion. Not that she's badly or poorly limited, or she's not in a bad position, but it's just not enough for me to do. It feels like there's like, I don't know. I don't have enough fun. That's what I'm saying.
I feel like she needs another move. To be honest, I'm not gonna lie. She needs another move.
Like Menat, has she gained the orb explosion?
Yes. She needs another move.
Yeah. In some ways, non-trolling aside, I would say this character is I don't want to say suck. I think that word is not the word you should use. It's like a shock value word. The character is a good character. She is exclamation point, quotation, whatever, viable. I think she's viable, but the fun factor didn't do it for me. But I mean, we're talking about matchups here.
Yeah.
What do you feel like how Ed does against this character?
I think Ed wins this matchup, only because his pace in the neutral, he dictates the pace on the neutral better than she does. Her defense is not as good with her, with her reversal being 12 frame startup. You can check her and she reversal, she gets punished. So you can kind of just do what you want on her defense. He has good ways to deal with her jumps with down B skill. With his down B skill, countering her jumps, if she does like jump shot or jump dive kick or whatever, he can just do down B skill. The neutral game, he has an advantage in. He does have an advantage in. He can fireball, he can B skill, he can charge punch. He can stay in roundhouse and she can't really punish. And either V trigger does good in this matchup. So.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think about. I'm kind of dwelling on Falke right now. What redeeming qualities? Because I don't think she's
like what?
I think she has some cool things, but the whole package it just wasn't. I'm sorry to not. I'm paying attention, but I'm trying to solve this problem here because this is one of the characters that Sakura, in my opinion, was a bit boring as well. Although same thing, I think she's great, but just not really getting my juices flowing.
The fun factor is not there, right? Yeah, exactly. I got you.
And Blanka I felt, had that to offer. He was a little more complicated than Sakura or Falke. But by that time, after I was done playing Sakura, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm moving on. And I mean, in terms of the game, I wasn't really that interested. It wasn't until Cody came out that I started wanting to play it again because I was having fun. But Falke is like, I don't know what it is. And I'm sure there's some people that disagree. Like Falke probably hasn't, like Windolpha for sure. He really likes V-Trigger too with her. And I don't know. There's some things I did. I got some enjoyment out of playing her, but
I don't know about that V-Trigger too, man. I don't know about it, man.
Yeah.
They need to do something about that V-Trigger, man. I know she might have a little fun using it, but they definitely 100% have to do something about that. That V-Trigger. They definitely have to fix it.
If they buffed her in some ways, I wouldn't be surprised.
She's definitely getting buffed. She's definitely getting buffed. She's not competing with top 5 right now. So she's either getting buffed or they're getting normalized.
Yeah, there was somebody who sent me a replay yesterday to analyze his Falke gameplay against Guile, and I'm like, maybe you should do this a little more. It's not going to change the world, but maybe it'll help. And that was basically a lot of the advice, except for like execute some things. Like, here's some little things that might help you tweak it a little bit, but
is it going to make that much of a difference?
It's not going to change the world for you.
Yeah. She's getting buffed. She's getting buffed, and especially V-Trigger 2 is getting changed. V-Trigger 2 is definitely getting buffed.
I can agree with that. Yeah, I don't want to dwell on it too much, but it's kind of a weird thing because it's at one angle I want to say lab it up. The character might have something, and there are some matchups I think she does quite well. And again, for the record, I don't think she's bad. I just don't think she's impressive or fun.
She got some good match. Like, she does good against Karin. Surprisingly, she does good against Karin.
I can see that. I think her standing heavy punch is pretty sick. If you that's one thing I got a lot of enjoyment out of is poking with the Psycho Kudzu, I think the shotgun thing, and confirming into EX Catapult. I thought that was really fun to like have some footsies. But you know,
Yeah.
I was really excited for Crouching Medium Punch when I saw the trailer. I thought it would be like a legit strong whiff punishing tool. I was like, okay, I don't care if it converts into anything, maybe a V-trigger activate. If it's just a poke that punishes things, I'm down. Let me whiff punish stuff. But it's like it's really slow. It doesn't work that way. It was like 11 frames or something. But that's the name of the game, right? Preemptive stuff. So what was the number for this matchup, you think, for Ed?
I would have to say solid 6-4 for Ed, this matchup.
Whoa. Okay, 6. We got a 6 on the board. Interesting. And a V-trigger usage? 10, ew.
V-trigger. Damn. You know what's crazy? I've beaten Falke players so bad with this character, I haven't used a V-trigger.
You've never once hit the hard punch and hard kick buttons together against this matchup.
I haven't even used the V-trigger in this matchup.
Yikes. I'll give it a 3. I'll put a 3 on the board. Last but not least, we got the mayor himself, with I'm sure we should play. We should run this matchup at some point.
We should definitely play this matchup. I have a little bit of experience the other way around because I played Cody against Ed.
Weird.
I played Cody a little bit, and I played him against Ed, and I didn't really have a general game plan with Cody, but I felt like I wasn't experienced enough in the matchup. It could be an even matchup, or it could even be in Cody's favor, but or it could even be in Ed's favor. But when I played the matchup, I felt like Ed had a slight advantage. I felt like Ed had a slight advantage. I just felt like the ground game, his neutral game was just better than Cody's. That's what I felt like.
You might be right. I mean, I'm inclined to say it's even because I don't know any better, but theory fighting it, the projectile from Ed, maybe some of the pokes. I don't know. I feel like it might turn into the Laura situation where it's like decent without V-trigger, but if I'm using V-trigger too, I can rob it, and then that might make it.
Yeah.
I
was gonna say that too.
It can make it even, or maybe even slightly in Cody's favor. But right now, I mean, I'm fine with just saying unknown. Or what? How do you feel if I put this even for you?
That's fine with me. That's definitely fine. Yeah.
And I'll put even with an asterisk, just because it's so new. And V-trigger, I guess, maybe not too much information on that. But do you have any thoughts?
V-trigger too for sure. Because V-trigger, you can reflect his fireball with the V with heavy punch and heavy kick if you activate V-trigger with the pipe.
Wait, say that again.
So I would say the best V-trigger to use is V-trigger 2, the snatch, because the V-trigger won the ball, Cody can easily deal with it.
Right. Okay, absolutely.
That's way. Yeah. So
what do we go? So that leaves us at a score of 174 with Ed. 174. That's not too shabby.
What's that matchup spread looking like, my brother? What's that matchup spread looking like over there?
Okay, maybe we'll start with the bad matchups. Chun-Li, Bison, 4.5, 4.5. Vega, 4.5. R.Mika, 4.5. Karin, 4.5. Dhalsim, 4. Let's see. Guile, the worst, at 3.5. Ibuki out of 4.
Definitely the worst.
Balrog, 4.5. Juri with a 5 and a question mark. Urien, 4. Akuma, 4. It's just a lot of... It does seem like there's a lot of matchups that aren't really like either tilted to them or like it's clear winner. Kolin, 4.5. I think I said Akuma already, 4. And Menat, Zeku, 4.5. Sakura, 4.5. Blanka, 4.5. That's a lot of bad matchups. But not like terribly bad, but
that's the thing with Ed. Like a point 5 is not enough to really it's almost even, but they slightly have an advantage, but he has a lot of those. He has a lot of those, like those. It could be close even, but it's still not in his favor. Is in the other character's favor. But that's the reason why. I mean, I guess if you look at your matchup spread right now, what could you possibly say about Ed? Where's he looking right? Like bottom what? Like bottom 6, bottom 5?
I mean, my troll answer is gonna be bottom 27. But this is the first. This is the first time doing this, so it's gonna take more while to compile the data and start stacking up numbers. But maybe he'll be in the middle.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit below the middle too, with these numbers. And if the opportunity presents itself and this does become a successful like podcast style of things, then we'll get more data and then we can compare other numbers to a different Ed player. But right now I want to go for like one person per character, and then we'll see as time passes how it goes. And let's see. What's that?
The key here is going to be honesty, because there's a lot of character specialists out there that are biased.
Oh no, I fully expect some people that they'll have like wild answers, but that's totally fine. Like the whole point of the podcast, in my opinion, is to get that discussion going. And like for example, I love Sanford. We're good friends, but I know he'll say something that's kind of crazy about like Zeku matchups. But I'm fine with that. I want that discussion to occur.
From his perspective, right? Like,
for sure. And sometimes Sanford makes calls out of the wild that are absolutely correct, like Ibuki being top tier last season and then really powerful this season, and I think he's correct. So as far as matchups that you feel is in favor for Ed, we got Zangief, Abigail, and Falke. So and Alex, I missed his 5.5. So 3 grapplers, three grapplers, and possibly character who needs a little bit of attention in Falke. All right.
Okay. The thing, I don't want people to look at the matchup spread and say that Ed is a bad character because of this. But you have to know how to win. The key is knowing how to win with Ed. And if I have to give like some little advice, I would have to say like 2 things, and they mostly do have to do with V-Trigger. Because without V-Trigger, Ed is a regular character. He's almost Shoto style. He's a regular character. So with V-Trigger 1, you have to lab setups. And you have to know how, even if you are getting hit out of V-Trigger 1, like let's say you activate it or whatever, and you're chasing behind it, you have to know how each character, if they reversal, you have to know how to make the most out of it. So some characters you might get hit with the reversal and they might land into the ball. You might be able to get a combo, or there might be some setups with V-Trigger that you can make your moves, unsafe moves, safe, and the other character might not be able to really do much, and you can really capitalize. Or you have to actually confirm. The best way is confirming into V-Trigger 1, and that's the best way to actually use V-Trigger 1. V-Trigger 1 has a lot of mix-ups when you confirm into it from standing medium punch. The problem with V-Trigger 1 is actually getting the hit on high-level players.
Yeah.
That's the problem with V-Trigger 1. That's the reason why when people say, yeah, Ed has so many setups with V-Trigger 1, you see like all the setups that, shout outs to Tragic in the Ed Discord. He's a lot of he's like the creator, the godfather of a lot of V-Trigger 1 setups, but the problem is getting the solid hit in high level. That's the main issue. So
it seems like you have to whiff punish. Confirming into it, maybe not so much. Maybe there is some ways that I'm not thinking about, but it seems like you have to clip something. If
you whiff punish into V-Trigger 1, you don't even get the best setups. You just get hit into a knockdown.
Yeah.
You could probably get something little, like something small, but you don't get like the best of the best V-Trigger 1 setups. But you have to get like a solid close standing media punch in order to get the best V-Trigger 1 setups. And that's hard in high level. With Ed, that's hard. Like you have to be really like offensive out of the blue, like do like a random dash up or something like that. V-Trigger 2 is more of the straightforward V-Trigger, and I think that's what Capcom was trying to go for. Like he already had like the setup based V-Trigger, the neutral based V-Trigger, but now he needs like one that he could just kind of do stuff, and that's V-Trigger 2. V-Trigger 2, you activate it. It doesn't activate on activation. That does the freeze, so you can like do other stuff.
A little bit simpler. It feels like V-Trigger 2, whereas V-Trigger 1, the research part is more so on the Ed player. V-Trigger 2, I feel like I have to research like the impression is that I need to research it more than he does. In a way, they both require research, but I feel like I have to know where the gaps are, or he's gonna get away with stuff.
Oh yeah, V-Trigger 2, the opponent definitely has to lab how to deal with V-Trigger 2 because the spark, the forward medium punch into another, into the fireball, combine that with the V skill, the V trigger snatch. They create new frame traps.
Yep.
So the opponent has to lab that. If the opponent doesn't lab that, you get frame trap for free, and you get free damage for free.
Corner carry as well, if I'm not mistaken. On
Plus
block.
free corner carry too.
Let's see if we can knock out some of these questions. Are you down?
Yeah.
We good
Bring
to go
him
here?
over here, man.
You say,
Bring him over here.
I'm impressed that we haven't taken any breaks, my brother. It's pretty good. I feel like, man, I could. I'm muscling through it myself. But all right, 56K Modem asks, are there any other Ed players that you recognize outside of your area?
Outside of my area?
I mean, I guess in general, I think he's asking, like, are there any other Ed players that you maybe not necessarily look up to, but, you know, maybe you take share notes, that kind of thing, or somebody that you see, you know, any other good Ed players?
I would have to say, like, Diablo from Korea.
Names of me?
Yeah. Are you familiar with him?
No.
Oh yeah, Diablo from Korea. He's one to look out for. Freezer Cracker. He's an online Japanese Ed player. He's higher ranked also. I think he's second right after me. On CFN anyway. Who else? There's none in Europe that I know of at all. There are no Ed players in Europe. I think there are a few in Brazil actually, like a few hidden ones in Brazil that are pretty good. And in the U.S., I would have to say like there's a pretty good up and coming Ed player. His name is Get Wreck 345.
I've seen
he's
that
a
name.
young guy. He's 18.
I think I've played him.
His gameplay is actually pretty good. I've been checking him out more. You know, he's pretty solid. He just needs more experience. But those are like the ones I would say to look for. Oh, I think there's another one in Cali actually. His name is Corey Bell.
He used to play some Zangief, some Abigail. Shoutouts to Corey Bell.
Yeah, and he's actually a grandmaster right now in CFN. So I would have to say like those are like the 5 to look out for, including me. Like those is me, Diablo, Freezer Cracker, Corey Bell, and Get Wreck 345.
Cool. Are there any potential buffs that you would like for Ed? These guys are good. Like I get the idea behind that question, but for me, you know, I try to accept what's there, and then, but I mean, it's all on you, you know.
all right. So it's like it's for me, it's fair buffs. Like I would say, this crouching medium kick should be 7 frames instead of 8 frames, and the reason being is because like I just feel like when you look at a character like Cammy that has a 6 frame standing fierce, it's only right for like come on, like I have an 8 frame crouching medium kick. That means that 9 times out of 10, if she presses her button first and I press my button at the same time, I'm gonna get beat. Like I'm competing with a fierce here, like, you know. So, but not only because of that, because Ed's crouching medium punch on counter hit is +7. But he doesn't have a move to connect into it besides another crouching medium punch. It's 6 frames, but he doesn't have. So you want that only other 7.
You want that distance to be covered. So maybe you can do crouching medium punch, counter hit, crouching medium kick, and then maybe V trigger 1.
Or flicker or cycle upper even. I feel like he doesn't get rewarded enough for counter hits. Okay. That's why I feel like he should be able to get a solid combo.
Oh, right. Crouching medium kick is bufferable. I didn't think about that.
Yes. He should be able to get a solid reward or for counter hit. You got characters out here doing freaking. I'm actually serious now. Like this serious mode now.
I see.
So yeah, he should definitely be able to get that. And if I had to choose one more buff, I'm gonna be generous with the buffs. If I had to choose one more buff, it would have to be keep him closer on hit after flicker, which is a rapid punch move. So like, you know, if you get the hit right now, it spaces him a little bit too far for him to even get like a solid pressure. It should leave him closer on hit.
I feel you.
And that's it. I think actually I think he would be really, really good if he had those 2 buffs.
I think that's reasonable. Yeah, the flicker seems like it's very situational to get some good use out of it.
Yeah, and it's -3 too on block. It's -3 on block, so you lose your turn. So at least at the least on hit, you know, it could leave him closer so you can actually keep your offensive momentum going.
Somebody suggested the other day like an EX flicker that moves him forward, so like it would eliminate it would eliminate some problems like crouching medium punch and the psycho upper missing, so you can use.
I heard that a lot, but I did hear that a lot, but you know what I feel like? I feel like first of all, I feel like how would you even input that move, EX flicker over EX psycho upper? Second of all, I feel like even though Ed is a character that's based off of simple inputs, he shouldn't be too simple. Like I heard a lot of complaints, like people saying like Blanka's electricity is 4 inputs. Why shouldn't Ed's flicker be 4 inputs? There still should be some sort of mastery to the character that you should have to master an aspect. You know what I mean? Like
just one more input.
Like if you got to learn how to piano, there should be a form of individual mastery. If you have Ed that's doing flicker with 4 inputs, just play Blanka. Blanka's a better character.
So we got a lot of questions. I feel you, man. We got a lot of questions in the chat.
My bad.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah. Bring them at me. I'm gonna try to show them up.
Well, some of them we've already talked about, and some of them like I don't think this is a really good question, but I think it's a really good topic. Maybe that doesn't make sense, but you kind of answered it before. But he said, "Yo, Di3mini0n, why did you drop F.A.N.G for an even worse character?" And I don't know how to. I want to see what you do with it. Is basically what I'm getting at, because the question is like assuming things are worse than another, or that it's going one direction. That's not really the question. But
in season 2, that would actually be a viable question, because in season 2, F.A.N.G was actually bad at first. In season 2, he was to me, when season 2 dropped, he was the worst character in the game. This is before Ed dropped. F.A.N.G was the worst outright number 0 character in the game, bottom 0. So at that point, I was already playing Guile full time. At that time, I wasn't really playing F.A.N.G that much. He had maybe okay matchups versus like Karin and stuff, but he was bad, and I was already like soul searching a little bit, trying to like figure out which different characters I wanted to play. So I was playing Guile mostly, and I did pretty good at next level battle circuit. I won maybe 3 times. At that point in time, that was when Guile had like the 2-bar V trigger. He was a little OP. I'm not gonna know. He was OP. He wasn't a little OP. He was OP. But I used that to my advantage. I won a few NLBCs, and then Ed. I only picked Ed a month after he dropped, and only because I felt like I needed to do something different in terms of learning how to play Street Fighter V. I felt like Guile, I was already in my comfort zone, and I just needed a change of pace. Mm-hmm. And I felt like Ed could offer that to me, but I didn't know that Ed would be that bad until I started like delving deep into the character. Like I didn't know like moves were with, and by that time I got so good with the character, but I was already mid-season and I couldn't just simply switch back mid-season to Guile, because I was already so good with Ed, and then like I couldn't just go back to Guile because I'm not on point with Guile, so I had to like stick it out mid-season.
You already went through the process of reinventing yourself, and then to reset that and then go with something you're not enjoying as much. I can see why. It's not necessarily, I mean, it may be a factor, but the character strength isn't as it may not be as important as enjoying the character and going through the motions of all the things included.
Exactly. And then at that point in time, he still did have an unfamiliarity factor because a lot of people wasn't playing him. Mm-hmm. So that did give me a little bit of an advantage, but Ed, he's just a more fun character at this point in time. And I already have enough Guile experience where I feel like if I ever really did want to go back to him, I could easily just do it.
Sure, he's not a complicated character.
Yeah, exactly.
At least on this game. Last question I'll go is from Eris Throttle. Does Di3mini0n like Ed's theme? The theme song.
That's a good ass question. That is a good question. I'm a big hip hop fan, and personally, do I like it? I guess it's okay for the game.
You give it about a 4.5.
I said personally. That's all right. It's all right. I guess it's all right. It's all right. That's subjective. That's subjectively speaking. Objectively speaking, I guess it's good for the game. I guess it's good for like different. Like the theme of Street Fighter and like diversity, and it's different.
Everyone's saying
already had rap.
Everyone's saying that's definitely a no.
Third Strike already had rap in the theme in it. You know what I mean? So like Third Strike already had that. So so I guess I'm already used to it. But Third Strike has some complex, some rhymes in it.
Yeah.
And then
I don't see myself having the same nostalgia for Ed's theme in any sense of the word. But
no, me neither. At all. Me neither.
When I hear "Let's get it on now," I'm like, oh, I want some pizza, I want some beers, I want some friends around. Let's play some Third Strike. When I hear lyrical, individual, mystical, something, blah blah blah.
I'm like, yeah, nah. You know what? Like maybe that's good for like the new generation. That's good for like the
new
generation.
It ain't for me.
It's not for me. No. I grew up in late '90s rap. I grew up in late '90s rap. Lyricism was at its peak.
Oh my god, bro! I feel so old, man. I feel so, because I'm not even a rap head, but when I reference like even something like MF Doom and some of the younger generations like, nah, don't like it, not for me.
And so
you don't like Nas? You don't like Whose World Is This?
So I guess it's okay for like the newer generation. It's like hit or miss. I can take it or leave it. So
I feel you on that. Any closing thoughts? I mean, of course we gotta plug the Twitter. I'll post it in the chat. Di3mini0n. Are you rocking with any sponsors these days? Anybody you want to shout out?
Right now I'm being taken care of by Sonic Box.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to the team. I actually try to plug more in. I think we got some products and stuff coming in, so I try to plug them more in on Twitter when I'm making tweets. I'm going to Evo. I'm going to Costa Rica. I'm gonna try to hit up a lot of the Latin American tournaments and try to steal their spotlight and their glory. So I'm gonna try to make that a thing and make that a plan. So just look out for that.
All right.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard up here, man. It's kind of hard up here competing with Ed, man.
Oh, you got that the weekly mini major. I made top 8 at a major because I went to NLBC and got 7th.
but I also do have some good friends in Latin America, Brazil, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico. So
I lost to some gentlemen. When I was at NLBC, I lost to some gentleman with a particular Guile, and then I switched to Kolin from Urien, and then my stick malfunction blowed up.
Oh yeah. But I do have it due to go out to more Latin American countries too. So I'm definitely looking forward to that too. So yeah, shout out to Sonic Box, and that's just the plugin for that. And for real, just shout out to everybody that has been sticking with me on this journey. I do have a lot of ups and a few ups and a lot of downs. I have a lot of downs, but it's basically, to me, I just look at it as a part of a learning process, and I just hope to grow from it, learn from it, learn from it as whatever that means, whether that means at the end of the day, Ed might not be the character for me, or if I decide to stick with it, or or whatever, or if I decide to or if I just happen to get better. Just thanks for all the support from everybody. Just sticking with me through thick and thin. That means a lot, of course.
Yeah.
And
we got some subscribers today as well. If you don't mind if I shout those out, we got Dom Presses Buttons, No Cammy, and Optimal Bunch, and Hajime no Gunko. With the
I heard a name in there. Shout out to Bunch.
Yep.
New York native, Staten Island representative.
Thank you very much. And maybe not right now. I feel like I'm a little tuckered. I'm probably speaking for me more than anything, but I would like to get a set with you and then play and then stream it. I think that'd be super dope. And if I can pull that off with more people with the interviews, as long as they're on the same coast, that would be sick. Go through the tier list and then play them. I think that'd be a really good idea. But the time thing, this took 3 times longer than I wanted it to, but it's one thing I learned with doing this podcast is it's a lot to talk about. It's not something it is. This is one perspective of one matchup, and again, I don't want to downplay or say that people who are making tier lists are wrong. I don't mean that at all. I think they are important pieces of the puzzle, but just this is an example of how much work it really takes to get an accurate tier list, and even then, Di3mini0n can be wrong about a few of these numbers, and it's
Yes,
totally
Yep.
fine. That's good. That's good to at least get some information backing this part of it. There's so much that can go into a tier list. But I want to thank you again, Kevin Landon, aka Di3mini0n, good friend of mine. I'm blessed to know you as a person, and I'm always rooting for you at tournaments.
Oh yeah, likewise, bro. Likewise, it's my pleasure to be on here
I wish
as
you
your
the
first
best.
interviewee.
Thank you for your time.
No problem.
Very important.
Thank you very much.
Is there anything else?
Very much.
Anything
AutoMattock,
else?
aka Jibbo.
Young Jibbo.
Jibs.
I'm gonna be
Dudes be acting
Jibo.
like they forget. Dudes be acting like they forgot about vanilla again, man. Dudes be forgetting they forgot about that.
Man, people know me for all kinds of reasons. You dropped Hugo, you dropped Yang, you dropped Gin, you dropped Cross Tekken, you dropped. I'm always dropped. That's what I main now. I main dropped games, characters, names. I dropped the Jibbo name. I'm all about dropping.
Dropping knowledge.
Oh, thank you.
Bars.
What about that? New York City pizza. All right, I'm gonna call it a day. I might be back. I might stream a little bit later, play some ranked. I definitely need to get Cody to master, or something like that. I do want to play some more. But one final thank you to the audience watching. I think this was a really, really, really large success. And I hope you guys have a good day. Yeah, that's it. That's it for now. I hope you learned something as usual. Anything else you want to say, Di3mini0n?
No, just see me at Evo next weekend, and it's gonna be tough, but I really want to try to do good or win, just like everybody else. So I'm gonna try to make it happen, and just look out for me there.
Absolutely, copy that. Y'all take it easy. That's it for now. Hope you learned something. I'm AutoMattock, joined by Di3mini0n. Later. Peace.
Peace out, fellas.